Well, do you find a connection between the temperature rising in rhetoric across this country?
Can you even believe this?
Ohio, because that is a very recent example to which we've seen.
Just felt like putting a room together.
Legal cases
Sorry, I'm just listening.
in Springfield, Ohio, and I'm not saying that one caused the other.
Well, we starting to take things seriously now, or we're just going to keep pretending like this is just going to stop. Really, I'm so angry. I just found out an hour ago. Totally expecting this at some point. We are 54 days. I'm going to invite some people up tonight. Happy to hold the Twitter space if we want. There's a ton of spaces already. We got about 80 people in here. Love your comments. I think I'm scared. I think that's the right emotion. I'm scared at this point. So I'd ask you guys to. I didn't want to do this. I've got my kids here. I was gonna. In fact, I'm trying to get ready for New York, but this is maddening. Okay, this is absolutely staggering. So if you could repost the space, and if anybody has a view and you want to come up on stage to express yourself and to maybe build a community around this, let's, we don't have to get all sulking and scared and hole up or get angry. What we can do is take this energy and come together as a community and really expand that community. So if you guys could repost. Most people don't. Your children will not know this, and if you have a 7-year-old, wow, if you have a 7-year-old, I haven't even tested the sound. See, I'm so jacked up and angry. Hopefully the sound is okay. If you have a 7-year-old child, that 7-year-old is living through exactly what happened to me when I was 7 years old, and but the difference was one magic bullet found JF Kennedy's head in the middle of an afternoon in Dallas, Texas. And one of the most gross events in American history, stored in beautiful black and white, not very low grain, low clarity film, but nonetheless terrifying to the American public. Well, I've been quiet. My family's been quiet. You've been quiet. And everyone I know has been quiet around this subject since I was 7. That's in the early 60s, probably a few little secrets before that. And I got to tell you, until we actually admit to what happened back then, I don't think we ever stop what's going on right now. We have been living in a world that's made up. America is not the good little country that it said it was. Sadly to say. And if I am the other side right now, I can't possibly allow Mr. Trump to become president of the United States. Not possible. So you got to go. This is getting weird, really weird. Frightening. Guys, I'm going to have to take, just put on hold here for a second. If you could repost the room, I've got to organize a few things, and I'd like to see if I could get a couple of people. Maybe what I need to do is stream the, I just need some help in this room. Excuse me one second. Hello.
Hey, my mom just texted me. She's super
Sorry, guys. Hey, Diane. Welcome, Diane. You should be terrified, Diane. Exactly. Okay, we got 500, 600 people in this room. Like, dude, thank you, Americans. Thank you, Patriots. Thank you, guys that are lost audio. You haven't lost the audio now, have you? Somebody give me a mic check. 1, 2, 3. Bang, bang, bang. See, this is bullshit, man. You guys can hear me, right? So, yeah, Diane, I think you should be scared. And Diane, I think you should reach out to a couple of your friends and tell them to join this room. Okay. The way we get bigger is we get bigger by expanding everyone. I did not want to do this tonight. Thank you. Thank you on the mic checks, guys. I didn't want to do this tonight. I actually wanted to sit down and just chill out. But I think we all been chilling out for a while. Otherwise, this would not be going on. This kind of crap is just like they're in our face. I mean, they were just like in our face. The audacity, the hubris. Anyway, this is how all nations end up failing. You know that, right? I'm reminded of the very little. I wish I would have studied history in school. I wish I'd have been a better student, actually. And not been so rebellious, because like to have studied history, really studied history. We're just repeating it like we're hamsters on a hamster wheel. And the hamster wheel is, and I'm not going to make this about Bitcoin, but the hamster, 90% of it, the bloody hamster wheel is about everything we do around money. And why I say that this quick is, one, you have to, because it's the truth. And two, you have to understand how much money is getting ready to change hands here if Donald Trump comes in office, because we're not going to have war. We're going to have less of it. We're not going to have congressmen and senators making $200 million after 10 years of work. I mean, when did this start happening? Or do we really want 3-letter agencies, the CIA, I mean, name them all. Okay. At this point, it doesn't matter. I think this is literally down to, if Donald Trump and our group doesn't get into office, we might as well just all stick our fingers up to here's my address, sir. Come get me, because I'm probably going to the gulag. You know? And this is so aggressively in your face. This is massive on the spectrum, the narcissism here, the megalomania. Watch people all around these people start dropping dead, okay? Guarantee you. So look, we're 9 minutes into this. I did this ad hoc. There's close to 900 people in the room. I'm not trying to take away from anything in these other spaces. Mario's doing a space. He's got nearly 10,000 people in it with some big players. I'm not going to probably attract big players like that. I would like this room to be just a space where if you wanted to come in, whether you do it with or without camera on, and just express yourself, because this is fucking outrageous. And it's not about some old guy laying prone in a ditch on a golf course. Okay. Like, do you know how many more of these must have been playing around? Anyway, guys, I need a little co-host here, but we have literally about 54 days to the election. And in the last 60 days, the president, the competing guy for president, post-president of the United States has been shot at, or at least weapons very near his vicinity. They will go to any length, is my view. Okay. Any length. Now, I don't have many details on this. If you guys have some details that, you're hot and bothered about, interestingly enough, the last time this happened, Bitcoin shot up very aggressively. Within 11 minutes on a Saturday afternoon, as soon as he was shot, Bitcoin went from I don't want to lie here. I thought it was in the 50s, and then it jumped into the low 60s. In this event, we've lost $800. What had happened an hour ago? So we're 1 hour. We're down $300. So it's been declining. In the last 4 hours, it's down from 60,000. I'm not sure if there's a reason for that. It's not really down or up of any massive amount. Guys, what do you think? I like your questions. I like your comments. Smash my girls. Smash the comments, questions, your points of view anywhere you want. Hey, by the way, what else is going on in the world? Okay, we got the Ukraine, all kinds of weird shit going on over there. I expect this to now every day. Something else is wounding up. Almost too many to calculate. Just like I mean, have you guys also seen? If I learned how to do this better, where is Bloody Sam? If I knew how to do this better, I would be talking about a few things. One of these screens would have the amount of video that people are getting between all types of different races, not just Venezuelans against white people, but white on white, black on black, girl on girl, boy on boy, boy on girl, girl on boy, man, old, young, doesn't matter. People are going crazy everywhere, okay? This is really, really scary. And that's before we have this added influence from that's been really jammed into the United States and in Europe. Let's be clear, this is going on in Europe and it's going on here in spades, in volume, all at the same time. I believe planned now, okay, and I think it was planned so we could do the COVID-19 didn't fly very well. That one's not going to probably go over. They may try the monkey boo, but most people, I can't believe, will people fall for that? Seriously. And by the way, what if the monkey thing was true? Who would ever trust any of these people anyway? So now we have this weird paradigm of you can't trust them and you can't not trust them. And then you go crazy, okay? That's how you go psychopathic, because people start to realize they have been put in a freaking trap. And it's not only a social trap. Notice what happened last time. Social trap, vaccinated. In fact, the vaccinated, I would say, showed their colors in spades. And we discovered how much more important someone's fear of their own life was relative to maybe others. A very aggressive move by some to protect their perimeter at all cost. That's a reaction. I always put people in two buckets. I think about, I have these, probably my sister's in here, but I have these, and that's why I'm thinking of this. Probably Grant and I went to the first movie I ever went to with my father was not the Navy SEALs. What was it back then in the day in the 60s? It was the Navy SEALs. Not Navy SEALs. The rainbow. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Anyway, the super military teams. He brought us to this probably violent movie about being a soldier, and I've just always thought in kind of military terms. And it just seems to me that um, everything we have going on here is set up to create conflict, consciously creating conflict between large groups of people, and making sure that one group of people is really on the edge of economic stress, great stress, and then also another group of people who are being pushed into the system with zero assimilation. Zero. We've already agreed that the education system in the United States is an F on a A, B, C, D, F schedule. I've had a number of congressmen and women agree F, okay, failing, even though we spend $80 billion a year. $80 billion a year, federal money. I don't even know why the federal government's in the education system. But my point being, if we can't do that right, I'm not sure we're going to be able to educate the somewhere between 8 and 20 million people that are being smushed into this country. And it's one thing smushing a bunch of people into a country very methodically and with intention, and also thinking about what is required, as in education, assimilation, language help, cultural understandings, beliefs, rules, laws, order. And if you don't do that, then you will have outright conflict forever. That's the way you create races. Okay, so this is another thing. I'm learning so much in the last 4 years. I give a lot of credit to Bitcoin, but the last 4 years, I've been able to really take time and study what's going on to remove Reese, put your mic in front of your face every time you move. The sound goes out. But is that right? Okay, I will try to do better. Let me know if it doesn't sound good. Oh, sister's right here. What is she saying? What up, Dee? Diane, can you believe I'm doing this? Stupid of me. I start getting this. But you know what? Look, there's 1,200, 1,500 people. And I think people are pissed off. I think people should be pissed off. And I think we should all come together. I mean, really, come together. The Beatles, actually, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, that the whole Beatles thing, that music, that's the one missing thing we have from this event we're going through. But we need a lot of really cool music. And I suspect there's going to be art or music or something created out of all this. Hopefully not all of it's digital, what have you. Spin the mic, he's saying. Okay, dude, Reese, I like Reese, okay? Love your channel. Reese said spin the mic. Is that the right spin? You know what? Maybe I need to slow down. Okay, I'll slow down a little bit for this. It doesn't seem like the audience is in y'all are literally watching. Look, I know that I could become pretty, I think I could become, this could become a successful thing, but I really don't naturally like doing it. However, the response I get from the audience is interaction, and that like one thing I've always been good at is spotting gaps in markets, and this is a massive gap that I think gap meaning a big opportunity. And I think that big opportunity, I've always went, lean into that opportunity, and you'll always win. This opportunity, not only it is probably the biggest gap I've ever seen that we should be leaning into, but it's also a gap that I'm afraid won't be there very long. Whereas before I've had time to get into these huge industry changing disruptive moments, whether regulatory or technology drove prices down and it creates a big gap. There's a lot of reasons why you have these big fundamental changes in markets. But there's never been a rush. In many of these, being first, in fact, was bad. I think on this one, there will be many people that just miss the boat, just like see it, begin to get it, but it's too late. The great opportunities, which I believe we're actually in, and I've been saying this for some time now. I think we're into a highly deflationary environment. And it's going to be so fast. The disruption is going to be so rapid that, in fact, the power shift, the economic shift, I think it will be the greatest shifting of power, not just money and wealth. The wealth, in fact, some of this has already happened, but I think we have this extremely short period of time where there's going to be a power gap and a flipping of power, and depending on how far away you are and the events, I would predict that if people are smart, they're going to be watching the game, and there may be an opportunity to actually propel yourself or get yourself it's probably going to be high risk, but get yourself in a position where you could, in fact, end up in the top 1, 2, or 3%. Because let's face it, okay, the top 1, 2, 3% is the most comfortable part of the market, of the value chain. And this is most certainly a value chain. It will look like a value chain by any capitalist. By the way, it's not bad. It's just a value chain, but between buyer and seller, producer, consumer, giver, taker. Okay, give and take. Like that's all it is. We're giving and taking. We're just not. We're going to do it on much, much, much higher speed, assuming we have electricity, assuming we have human beings to communicate with. Hey, maybe if we do this long enough, we can bring the Bitcoin price up, because everything I'm seeing right here, Bitcoin. This is the greatest commercial in the history of mankind for Bitcoin. I know I can be a little hyperbolic. You know what? I like being hyperbolic. Okay. I love my little my sayings. I've learned them from all over the world. And, whoever complained over having something that's super, super special, right? Like, why would you just say super or special anyway, if it's really cool? Now see, this is where I'll randomly, just take, strays into the forest here and get completely off course. We were talking about Donald Trump being, the attempted Donald Trump. I don't know if anybody's got any news on that. And look, let's see, I've got like 2 or 3 computers now. I'm seeing what this looks like. And it doesn't look terrible, does it? Chairman of the Peanut Gallery. I guess people do like, okay, what is this one? Amazon, Price for Tomorrow. Hey, that is an excellent book, okay? Excellent book. I recommend everyone get it. In fact, I should have bought a bunch of those books and given them away to people. Let's see. What do we have? Let's just go through the comments, perhaps. Reese said, okay, let's see. Maybe go back a little bit. This is when they were helping me with the infrastructure. The infrastructure, too. Lee says, so sad what's happened over the last 50 years. Lee, totally, dude. I mean, really, it's so sad. I remember, in fact, I posted one of these things where you, I, and a bunch of other guys would get together and we'd literally leave at 6:37, go fishing, and probably break a bunch of stuff, start a fire. smoke a cigarette, and just like, and we didn't have helmets. And I mean, we went to the hospital. I mean, I went more than Grant did, but man, it was that was the America I grew up with. Not this. This isn't America. This isn't red, white, and blue. This is red, pink, green, yellow, blue, white, black against each other all the time. All the time. It brings tears to my eyes. I mean, I could get emotional actually. Anyways, let's see. We got Chairman of the Peanut Gallery. We can hear you regardless. Yeah, but I want it to be good. Doesn't. That's where I met Reese at. See, Reese, spin your mic. There's always a solution. When something's not working for me, I realize I'm the dumb guy. Like if it's not working perfectly. I am the dumb guy, and there's something wrong with my formula. So it's just you can rationalize it, but if it ain't working well. And if I'm sure there's so many things I can fix on this stuff to make this a better environment, both for you and for me, because I don't want to get I don't want to be like known as a talking head. But I'd love to be known as a guy who could bring a lot of people together. Now, if we could bring, I mean, I'm pretty good at this. And when I put myself out there, I have done remarkable things to bring people into a new idea. And it's because I believe in it. And one thing I actually find very interesting, and I'm really passionate that this platform never does anything from this moment to clamp down any more from what we were already clamped down. Okay. I would beg everyone watching anyone talking about anything that you just put a line in the sand and say, hey, look, we already know that there's shit going on these platforms and censorship. We haven't had time to debate it because the technology just came up. The opportunity was shoved into us, shoved on us, shoved around us, forced inside of our bodies. And we were prohibited and not allowed unless we had certain status to even go to offices. Schools were not available. So people changed their lives completely, didn't we? And this has now become our church because I couldn't go to church. I have the right to religion. I have the right to freedom. I have the right to move, come back, move. I thought I had those rights. Now, since the government scared everyone so much, we smashed a bunch of technology together and we still can commune and come together in our religion. And then we can also make sure that we now have a redundancy for our education for ourselves and our children, which I think as Americans, we have an absolute right to say that the Constitution, which spells out at the very core of it, its intention is to have the right to speech, the right to hear speech, and the right to therefore educate oneself. Because what is speech other than two people sharing ideas or more? Okay, these are ideas. I have the right to my ideas. This is what makes me different than a human being, than any other human being, and in every other organism as we understand it. By the way, I don't understand. I don't know. I'm not claiming that humans are the most important organism on this planet. Okay. I appreciate it's true for me that I like this organism. But we're beginning to do an awful lot of harm to each other. And I think that's what we need to be talking about. So I'm going to beg everyone to plug into this system and make sure that whatever we have right now, okay, this is what I know I can do right now on Twitter, on X. I can hold a space here. I'm not guaranteed. Keep spinning the mic. Really? You want me to keep spinning it? You don't want to see this, dude. I don't want to irritate people with the red light. Where was I? Brings me to another thing. Gold. Hey, Mia. Just ordered a drink from the old kitchen. I think we might be here for a while. This is historic, folks. Absolutely historic. We have a nation that's completely asleep. We've dumbed down our educators and our children so bad. Okay. And by children, I mean everyone from about 45 to 5. Okay. Like there's entire generations that have no clue how this world works. I don't know what you guys were doing. Most certainly you were not studying. You didn't have a grasp on anything geopolitical. When I left the United States for my first mission offshore, when I think I was 28, could have been 32. Yeah, 28, 29, something like that. I went to London and realized 17% of the people, Americans, had passports at that time. Only 17%. You go to Europe, 98%, and 2% are illegal. But 98% passports, and they use them. Now I think Americans, they're still like, I don't know, 40 or 45% of Americans do not have a passport. Shows you the perspective. I'm not sure what took me there. What took me there? Why was I saying that? I don't know why. And I'm going to be bounced around this process pretty heavily because all these comments. This comment on 58 grand. Yeah, we're going to go test 58 grand. I can see that happening. People were talking about it testing 52 and it didn't quite get there. So we will see what Mr. Bitcoin does. But my prediction is we are at 62 before Wednesday. I think we're getting ready to find out if these events continue. There is no one stopping them. There's no one stopping them. They have to now continue because they've gone too far. Who trusts anyone right now? Okay. I mean, I've had to go out and look at my vehicles and realize, hey, I got to start putting guns back in my car. And I'm not advocating guns or free guns or people that don't know anything about guns. Thank you, honey. But you can just put it right there. I'll handle it. It's absolutely ridiculous at this point. And what we expect that they're not going to try again, or they're not going to do something even more brazen and more scary. See, this is what I'm concerned about. Okay, if you can't smash him, what about you go hammer? I don't know. Create a big event November the 4th. I mean, a big one. Sad. It is so sad. Hey, could you guys retweet space, repost the space? I'm going to ask someone to come in here and help me a bit. And if any of you guys have, let's see, I continue to get distracted. Oh, that's why, because I don't. Okay, I need to give you guys the StreamYard number. Oh, you know, I need to go ask. Let me ask my brother. Hey, y'all go hit my brother up when you're tweeting or whatever. Hit my brother up. Hit who do I care about their opinion? Hit whoever you want up. Say, hey, come join me in the room. Have a conversation. I'm going to put out the link to this. Thank you so much, sweetie. I'm going to put this out on Twitter. Unbelievable. I mean, do you guys think that that the Bidens and the Democrats don't know about this going down? I mean, does anybody think this is another random act? Anybody, please. I tell you what, I'm going to share you guys this on my screen. And once I get settled in, if you guys are chilling, looks like a bunch of you got. Okay, so I'm going to try, and this is what I was talking about earlier. I'm going to just share this. I think this is it. Okay, take a look at this. Okay, I have to move it, but yeah, here we go.
Watch what boiled.
Oh, come on, don't do that. Rumble,
Have you ever noticed how you can
dude.
easily eat
Okay, Dags. Come on, Robert. See, I ain't gonna be doing any of this. Okay, none of that ad shit for me. Check this out.
Looking at case of the joint, brandishing a pistola. And obviously that pistola looks like
Comes in with a gun and helmet
gun,
and a backup.
Powered by CO2 cartridges. This guy thinks he's giving orders. I mean, thank God this guy's wearing his mask, protecting the people he's about to rob. He's doing his part in his community.
Terrorizing
this guy in
little
the back
kids.
thinking he's in some old school Western movie on a train, robbing people,
Clever,
casing a
huh?
joint in a
Yeah.
sucker punch. Wow, talk about so stunning,
Holy
so
man.
brave. You're wearing a helmet, you punch a guy, you've got a gun in your hand. Of course he's not going to do anything back. And it appears, oh man, guy in the background is sick of this shit. And now everybody's getting involved.
This is what's going to happen.
The Benny Hill moment has begun.
This is what's going to happen. Here's another cat. Okay, check this cat out. Didn't know how long that was going to last. Sorry.
Giving him the courage to come into a store like this and just steal all the cigarettes. I'd like to say this guy's a dumb criminal, but he's actually not. He knows as long as he doesn't steal over $1,000 worth of items, who cares? He's not going to jail because a stupid liberal knife or whatever the hell that this idiot coming in, and now he's about to become a store owner has had enough. He's coming in, and now he's about to become a freaking human.
There you go.
No candy coming out quite yet. Even if it does, it'll be nothing but freaking fungus pie as he continues to beat the living.
This guy, I like Steve Inman. Okay, if you want some entertainment, I think I will join him. Oh shit, I can't support you right now. I got to do this. This. We need to support people like this, guys. Come fuck with me and I'll fuck you up. That's the message. I like it, man. Check. Want to see some more? Go get it.
Let me guess, you were for defunding.
Let's go see another.
Discount Rick Ross is pissed off and angry and taking it out on the worker, but the worker's also angry. He's like, I've been here all day, man. Now feeding the living hell.
What happened?
Apparently, Discount Rick Ross is pissed off and angry and taking it out on the worker, but the worker's also angry. He's like, I've been here all day, man. Now feeding.
Yeah, baby. Okay. Just anyway. Who we got here? Oh, we got that's me. I thought we had somebody in the room. See, I don't know if anybody else thought that was funny, but I did. Yeah, I am on YouTube, Patrick. There will be physical interaction of some sort. I don't see how we cannot have it fairly aggressively at this point. Really. I really don't see how this doesn't go kinetic, sadly. Yeah, Christopher, I totally agree. Children must be homeschooled and home-fed. Also says they are committed and will go all the way. That's good, man. My kids didn't have the full thing, but they had enough to keep them safe. They think it's a complete joke. Private school, Shorecrest, complete joke. Overpriced, under quality, no people, no heart. There's no heart. And this is all of them, every one of them. My kid, I think my seventh grader had more people leave her group, which makes sense because I could see not moving the ninth grader, but going from sixth grade to seventh grade, they dropped, I don't know, 30% of their people. So what there probably was some kind of bullying thing in the school that never got handled, which is another issue because there's no discipline at these schools, none. My kids went to the school the first day, said, talked to me about the dress code. They would prefer uniforms because it takes out all kind of variables. And they come home first day and they went, well, the dress code has already been broken in full fledged. Everybody's wearing short shorts. So there's no follow through. Sound familiar? No follow through from the government. You don't run a business this way, okay? You do not run a business this way. See, if I know this is now a control monopoly because you don't have really a choice where you send your children, and you're paying so much for it, it's unbelievable. Okay, you don't think you're paying for school? Really? Well, every time your kid back talks you, and every time your kid comes home and he's broke, and he's calcitrant, and he's not carrying the weight after he's 16, if your family's not moving and shaking, shame on him. Shame on you. You guys got to start holding these kids responsible, dude. I mean, seriously. Treat them like little babies. They're never going to be able to compete with some guy from Ukraine or Venezuela. By the way, I love Ukrainian people. In fact, I like all people. I mean, nobody's going to come fuck with me. Like, I'll be the last guy. Well, maybe not the last one, but anyway, you and I, we're not the enemy, guys. Okay, even if you like Bob and I like Mary, if I like Trump and you like Hillary Clinton, probably you want to stay away from me. But if you are going to vote some other way, I don't really care. You're a human. You have the right to vote. But what I don't like is we're all polarized against each other and hate each other. We're going to screwed this way. Okay. I mean, I can be stacked and packed, and I'm probably going to be okay in either case, but I'm not going to be happy. I'm going to be with a bunch of miserable, broke people. And we're pretty close now. Okay. It's not like we have a long way to fall. But you turn the ACs off to everyone's home, turn off their internet. Okay. Turn off the internet. When was the last time any of you guys got off of X? Right? Like, I have to take breaks from that thing. Yeah, well, dude, like, they'll eat the dogs and the cats, and then they'll go for the next stage. Like, this is what migrants do. They move up the food chain. Like, don't start getting desensitized here, guys. Okay, this is literally a migration in motion, right? And when resources, energy, calories, or the environment becomes too toxic, change, all organisms migrate and evolve, mutate if necessary, if you're really anti-fragile, and they evolve and mutate into a richer, denser food source with less competition. Guess where they're coming? I mean, I was arguing with my brother the other day. I'm like, hey, are you going to sell Malibu? And he's like, I'm really positive. I love this about Grant. When Grant's in a deal, he reminds me of Steve Bergstrom, a guy I used to work for, genius. and love the guy, my mentor, whether he knows it or not. But what was that? What was I saying? That Grant's married to a position. I just don't. I don't see how this is going to be good for anybody. And the point on the Malibu thing was, once you agree that L.A., Orange County, all that surrounding area has been flooded with non-producing energy units, non-productive energy units, okay? All around your town, they emit energy, they expend waste, and they consume. And they are non-productive members of the organism, the chain of production, right? They're not adding. They're putting stress on the system. Well, if you think that's bad, what happened in LA and San Francisco, that is a what's it called when you have the pre-ban? Dude, that's the pre-ban for the top 5 artists all in the world coming together. Okay, all of them, because did I really, Henry? I sent the wrong link. I'm in the right thing. It's a lot to do. We don't want a perfect show. I can get that. Yeah. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you. P.S. Knew you had not heard the news. Was waiting. Oh, knew you. I think. Okay, I think I understand that. Thank you very much. Peace. Are you in the UK? Where are you at? If you're, in fact, would everybody tell me where they're from while I read these comments? Also, would you tell me, not introduce yourself, but where you're from, and how you feel, like 1 or 2 word, how you feel. And Henry, I'll try and get that link. Let's see. Oh, all right, my man. Thank you. Stick it in the. I'll stick it in the post now. I'm asking people to come up. I'll listen to you for a little while, and then we'll drop you down, and just ask you to be respectful. We want this room to be inclusive. I love debates, love discussion. Thank you, but we don't need more grinds than we already have. You want to say goodnight? Okay. Get out. Here we got, this will be fun. Reese Billy says Florida and pissed off. Las Vegas, Patrick G. You know, I was expecting, what if we were here and it had happened? Huh? See, I think we've all watched too many cop movies and killer movies. I love them. Okay. London Falling, those kind of movies, but this is really happening. I think what if you ask yourself, hey, are you desensitized? Could it be that other people could be desensitized and we're all like one day finally going to wake up and freak out? Because this is like, what if? Okay. Now, I meant to do something and I never finished it because I'm a freaky guy. Gold. Is Gold moving? Gold looks like it's going up. Damn, I keep making so many mistakes. If somebody's even in the room, I don't even know it because I'm not looking at the thingy dingy. That's where I want it. Mm-hmm. Whatever you guys are seeing me do right now, this is what I do most of the day. Make no noise. And let's see, where am I trying to send this to? At Grant, and I'll have a good conversation about this if he's available. There you go. If that's the right room, then maybe Grant will show up. We'll have a good conversation. Diane, if you're still in the room, and you're dressed, feel free to pop your little. Oh, there's Henry. Hey, man.
Oh, hey, Gary. How are you, man?
What's up, buddy?
You know, we always spend time on these days together. I think that's when I first met you, right? Like, it's sad. Like, these are the days.
It's pretty weird. But like, I think that this is really cool. Okay, we got more people popping in now. Yeah, they like the t-shirt. Dang right. I wear this t-shirt to spread, what's the word?
Love.
To spread peace and love, because it's got a nice feeling. Okay, look, we got some people in here. Henry, before I add these gangsters, because I don't know these people, we'll see how this goes. Couple of words of thought as to what we just found out 2 hours ago.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. This is gonna continue, right, Gary? I think all of us with half a brain know that they're not going to let this man just walk into the presidency. It's not going to happen, right? And I don't want to be. I'm not negative about it. I support Trump, but right? I mean, this is not going to be easy. This is going to be the hardest thing this country's probably done in hundreds of years. So, right, Gary? I mean,
yeah. Well, they've gone so far now, dude.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. You've gone so far. I mean, it's not. Does anybody? I'll pay someone $10 if you don't think this is being run by a group of people. I'll pay you $10 to come up here and tell me that, hey, you don't believe this is organized. $10, but you got to put your face on camera and look at me and really tell me the truth. $10. I'll do that as many times as I need to tonight, because we're not going to find anybody that can actually say for $10 that they don't think this is a conspiracy to assassinate probably the best choice. What is this guy threatening so badly? If he's such an idiot, if he's such a felon and a liar, why are you trying to shoot him? Why haven't you been able to put him in prison with all your assessments, judgments, lawsuits, and what have you, setups, tapings, recordings, video? You know, they've been snaking around watching his ass, dude, for like, right? They've pulled information on that family every which way but loose. So you can't tell me that well, for $10, okay, for $10, come on up here and tell me that you don't think this is total setup. And then if you don't, then I want to understand how it is happening. Hey, now look, my man that just joined, I'm going to ask you, John, if you don't want to be on video, just turn your camera off, because it's so bad, dude. It actually looks worse than it looks like you might be a freak. I can just sit there, imagine you on your couch and in your pajamas, one hand on the Twitter box and one hand on your diddle. Yeah, see that's not a good look for you, bro. John, that's not a good look. No, it's not John, it's Reese. Reese, not a good look.
Yeah.
So what's up, guys?
What's going on, Gary? How you doing?
Good. Well, I don't have anybody shooting at me yet.
I know this is just an insane time in our country. I don't really understand how people are getting this close to Trump. That's kind of my debacle. With the first assassination, we still don't have answers. We still don't have any idea how this man. There's you know, if you want to take the conspiracy route, we have some answers, but how is it that a man? We still know the whole story of what happened with the second attempt assassination, but how is it that he was able to jump the wall with a gun, get over it, let shots off, pack up, and take off before the police eventually got a hold of him? How is this happening? That's the real question we need to ask. With the highest military in the world, the greatest military in the world, we cannot protect the president while he's playing golf. And these are the questions that the American people are going to have.
Most certainly.
And I know they were scanning the course with drones and whatever other ops that the Secret Service has. But still, how did he get that close? How was there not a cop that just stopped him and said, "Hey, what are you doing walking around with this gun?" It's just these are the questions that are going through my mind at this time, and I really don't understand it.
Yeah, Reese, I agree, man. Well, I mean, you mean you don't understand is like it doesn't make sense if you were trying to understand this from a logical perspective.
Correct. Yeah. It's just like I said. It's how can anybody get that close to a president with a gun?
Yeah.
I'm pro Second Amendment. I'm pro guns. I'm born in the South, raised in the South, raised in Florida. We're the free.
You guys keep it going for a second, okay?
Okay. So it's I don't know what your thoughts are on this, sir. But it's not certain. The puzzle pieces aren't coming together for people anymore. It's really not. It's really not happening.
Yeah, Reese, I totally agree with you. That there's no way that if these people are doing their jobs, this shouldn't be happening, right? I think all of us agree on this. They're talking private security now, which is positive, right? Listen to Gary.
Wasn't that the resolution from the whole congressional hearing? We're going to up security. We're going to do this, do that. They know Trump golfs. They know that's his thing, and that's all right. But it happened in Palm Beach, right from across the street from Mar-a-Lago. I mean, this is getting to a point to where it's like only the conspiracies are going to make sense, because nothing else makes sense.
The conspiracy. What do you mean conspiracy? This is now. Yeah. This is treason.
Correct. I totally believe that these two acts have been treasonous acts.
Most certainly, and there's a bunch of information getting ready to come out, dude, because they must be running for. They should get more aggressive.
Well, how are they going to spin this How are they going to spin this narrative now? What could they possibly say that a man could get out of his car with an AK? I believe it was an AK-47, and fire off rounds. What is 5 or 6 shots? I believe this time.
Oh, now I don't know that. Now I think we should be really careful with the.
From Fox News, I heard that it was about 5 or 6 rounds that got shot off.
No, I can't believe anybody. I think we cannot believe anyone. I think we just need to be really careful and not start doing what mainstream media does. I came on this thing to go, hey, let's calm down. Let's have a
Okay.
conversation. This is exactly what we should be. Walter Cronkite would come on TV and it would calm the nation down. It didn't like, hey, fucking, let's light up the world with a bunch of lies.
Yeah, I get
Right.
it.
And I'm not banging on you. I'm just trying to remind the
I-
audience that, hey, look, you know, I still haven't seen. Look, I never thought COVID was manufactured in China. I'm like, oh, please. Why would you blame it on them, dude?
Yeah.
So it's all coming out, guys. It's going to get worse here. This is going to get worse. Charlie, what's your main feeling right now? Your main emotion? Sorry, did I say Charlie? I meant Reese.
Oh yeah, I was waiting. What's my main emotion right now?
Yeah. What's your
I'm on. To be honest, I'm pissed off. You know, I was pissed off the first time, but now it's like this is insane. This is beyond comprehension that a Republican nominee, the leader, you know, the assumed president that's going to be the next president of the United States, has now had two assassination attempts on his life within the span of 3 months, I believe, 3-4 months, something like that. And we don't even have answers for the first one. These congressional committees,
don't even have answers for that one, dude. I mean, you don't have basic answers either.
How long did it take for them to get rid of the first leader of the Secret Service? And all we have are lies. All we have are, you know, we don't have a story. We don't have anything. I mean, I'm stumbling over my words because there's nothing to say about it. We don't know anything.
Hey, Reese, can I interject there?
Yeah, of course.
I just want to. Gary already said this, but what's up, Red? They are. I think what this is about. They're trying to rub it in your face to make us so angry, the conservatives, that we react, and then they can push us into some type of negative scenario against us, right? Make us the crazy ones, because that's what they're doing, right? They're going to make us the crazy ones.
Well, they already have that narrative of the Capitol, that we're the crazy, that conservatives are insane. We rush the Capitol, and I don't want to get into that because that's still an issue that we don't want to get into. I don't think any of us want to get doxxed on that. But you know, it's a sad look for our country. That's the thing. It's a sad look on our country when we in the free world can't even protect a Republican nominee, the Republican nominee, and potentially the next president of the United States.
Yeah, well, it's a choice, right? It's a choice at this point. That's what I was saying. I think people need to be very careful not to be there. This is clearly to get you to. This is they're pushing you and wanting you to react, right? They're wanting to create a reaction within the conservative movement that would.
Henry, I don't think they care, Henry.
You don't think so?
Well, I don't think whoever's doing this gives a toss anymore. I think their information exposure is so critical that it doesn't matter. It's one of these, oh my God, there is no end to what they will attempt to do because the crime, once it comes out, it's going to be too big. I mean, we just need to be watching for special people that start dropping like flies for odd reasons.
Our protection is actually under our Constitution, though, and that's what I'm saying. When you create,
what part of that hasn't been violated?
Well, you're right, but we could still fall back on it. I think, like if Joe was on here, I think he might be able to speak on that because what can
reach
happen?
out to him.
What is that?
Reach out to him.
Oh yeah, I'll send him an email here. But yeah, I just wanted to point out that the problem is if you remove those protections from you. I know it doesn't seem like they're there, but they are there. They're just being ignored. But if a lawyer challenges it, you likely could still have a chance, right? But once those constitutional
chance for what?
For defense.
To defend against what? He's already dead.
Trump?
No, but I mean the defense is. I mean your outcome is awesome, right? Hey, we get to defend the Constitution. What if the guy's already dead?
Well,
right.
No, I mean us, like us as a population. Like once you get out of the We were talking about this last night, to stay under the protection of the law or God's hand. It's critical right now. So that's where I'm going with that. I know people are angry. You just try to get into contact with people like this where we can vent and stay level-headed and actually try to direct our resources the best we can. Right. I hate to say it that way, but I think that's, in my mind, that's the best way forward. If someone has a better plan, then, obviously, I think Red might have something to say here.
Go ahead. Give it up, Red. Good to have you, buddy.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, gentlemen. I was on Diligence Twitter space when the press conference broke. I was covering the story pretty much all day long today. And one of the things that was so shocking to me was within 10 minutes of this incident occurring, all the major mainstream news sources dropped a story saying that there was a gun battle near the Trump golf course, but Trump wasn't the target, right? We had multiple news agencies report this in less than 20 minutes of the story breaking, right? And CNN, of all outlets, was the first news outlet to say, no, actually, we contacted the Secret Service, and the Secret Service engaged with a shooter who built a sniper nest on the golf course. CNN was the one who broke the story originally when all this came out today. And I was thinking to myself, how irresponsible has our media become? Did they already have prefabricated stories that if there was going to be another assassination attempt, no matter what the details of it were, they were going to have articles pre-written to basically minimize the severity of the situation? Because if you go look right now, if you type in Trump shooting on Google, the top 10 posts say Trump safe after shootout in parking lot. Now, it's changed since the Secret Service has given the press conference, but right after the event, all the articles headlines, Trump safe after shooting near golf course. The word assassination attempt didn't appear anywhere. Not even alleged assassination attempt or possible assassination attempt. All the mainstream news articles said Trump safe after gunshots fired near his golf resort. Like, that was like the pre-made mainstream narrative, immediately minimizing the severity of this. The former president of the United States, a major party's nominee for president, was almost killed today. One hole away. He was on the 5th hole. The shooter made a sniper nest on the 6th hole. How is that? How are we even talking about this and pretending like this isn't a big deal? And you have liberals on Twitter right now making jokes saying he did this to himself because he was getting negative press because of Taylor Swift. They don't even believe that this is serious. And the news is going along with them. The news is like, well, it's not a big deal. He's safe. Go look at all the articles. He's safe. We don't know what happened. And then this guy being attached to the Ukrainian government. I mean, this is already on record. They just canceled his X account. I went through his entire X account as quickly as I could because I knew it was going to get removed. And you go post after post. I want American veterans to go fight for Ukraine against Russia. This guy was a mentally unstable person who doesn't like the fact that Donald Trump was going to stop a war. He wants American soldiers fighting the Russians in Ukraine. It was clear from his social media post. And now we're just pretending like this isn't even a big deal. And half the country won't even believe it. These are the same people that thought Joe Biden was the mentally sharp politician that he'd always been up until the night of the debate. These are the same people that didn't believe there was a border crisis for 3 years. They just denied anyone who said there's a problem at the border. You're a racist. You're a xenophobe. It's not true. None of this is happening. These are the same people who are going to see those stories today and say, oh, this wasn't a big deal. 2 guys got in a shootout near Trump's golf course, because that was the story that all the mainstream news agencies broke. Now they've gone back on it. But do you think half the liberals are going to care? They're still going to point to those headlines. The Krasensteins were all over X saying, oh, look at all the crazy Trump supporters saying he was assassinated today. An assassination attempt happened today, but that's not what happened. There was just a shootout near his golf course. He wasn't the target. I have it screenshotted. That's what the Krasensteins said within 5 minutes of this occurring. So we have a serious problem with our media. And unless there's people like Gary Cardone and you guys talking about it, half the country isn't even going to care. They're not even going to believe it. They're going to minimize this. He's safe. That's every single headline. You know what's in the headline? Safe is in the headline. You know what's not? Assassination attempt.
Hey, Red.
And that's the power of words.
Red, can you highlight again who the proposed shooter is, and kind of highlight that in the background again? I just because we covered so much ground there, it would be interesting just to kind of highlight again who this person was.
Yeah, hey, that would be good. I mean, I'm looking some data, but does somebody, and can you smack some stuff on the screen, make it interesting?
Yeah, I can put it up there, but you're gonna have to approve it. But I can bring up some of his account.
I like having to approve it, man. It makes me feel like a government employee.
Yeah, no,
or an overlord.
It's amazing because they've already scrubbed. So the shooter's name is Ryan Roth or Ruth. It's Routh. He had a very active Facebook account. He had a very active Twitter account. This is the guy who made a video. He was interviewed for a major news station because
the Romanian government, I believe.
Yes, the Romanian government interviewed this guy because they wanted to talk to Americans that supported the Ukrainian war effort. So this guy had multiple news appearances. His account was insane. I'll put one up on the screen. I have the video of him too. But like when you have this amount of evidence where someone is this radically like in favor of a war, I don't think. This guy is definitely one of these NAFO weirdos on X who wants America to go fight against Russia because the big bad bear is the great evil. And it's just insane that they're scrubbing his social media. His social media was there. All of us could see it. Let us see it. This guy tried to kill a president. Let us see what his reasons were. Now they're going to scrub the social media accounts and they get to control. They get to tell you what this guy believed instead of you believing it for yourself. So let me grab some of the stuff that I have before it was taken off. Let me open.
You guys can't just say not say anything.
Yeah, I'm really happy you're here, Red. You do such a great job covering this stuff. And Reese, Gary, you're back.
There he is.
Yeah, go ahead. You were filling in nicely. Hey, Reese, I'm going to bounce. Reese, you got any other comments? I'm going to bounce you out. Where are you from, man?
I'm from Florida.
Okay, good. What part? What north, south, east, west?
I'm about an hour north of Tampa. It's a little town called Citrus County.
Nice, man. How's the economy there?
It's a small town, not much going on, very quiet kind of place.
I hear you, buddy. Well, thank you for showing up, man. Appreciate you being here.
I appreciate it for having me on. It was an honor to speak with you and be on this show with you.
Thank you, buddy. Ciao. See, I like bringing strangers up. Like, it's the way we're going to increase the world, right? Maybe, people, bang on me. Hey, why are you bringing all these people up? I'm like, why not? Like, that doesn't hurt me any.
You gave a lot of voice to a lot of people, Gary.
People need to use their voice more. Like they need to use their voice. I mean, they need to. So I'm happy to do it.
Well, my entire audience, just so people know, like if you don't know Gary, I don't promote Gary because I'm a fanboy. He brought me up. My entire audience came from Gary. I'm friends with so many people now because of Gary. I have a friend group that I never had before Gary. So I really am like, you just don't know what that means, Gary. Like, you gave me all that. You didn't charge me for it. You just handed it to me, and just for bringing me up. So, people should just know when Gary gives you an opportunity to come up. I know people get mad at him and his brother, and they're famous, but they're giving you their time.
Who got mad at me? Somebody got mad at me?
Well, sometimes people just get mad at your brother and think it's you, which means they really don't know what they're talking about, right? I try not to argue because if they're mad, they're mad.
No, dude, I was just kidding. Okay, if I worry about if people don't like me, I would have. You would never have known me. So,
but it's critical people understand that, though, like, because not everybody's going to give just everybody. You just gave the platform away, Gary. You know what I mean? You just handed it to me. And that means you handed it to so many people in the same way. Like you were on with May last night. Like, you guys are all sharing. Like, it's just impressive to me. Anyway, I thank you for it, Gary. And I want people to know, jump on. Gary, you do need to be comfortable putting your face out there, which I like when you do this, Gary. because you are calling them out, right? You can't just hide anymore. Now you have to show who you are. So anyway, thank you so much for all that, Gary. You've done a great job.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. So Reed, what you got there, buddy? You got a document.
So here you go, Gary. This is from Libs of TikTok. These are a few of the screenshots. Now, remember, his Facebook has been deleted. His X account has been deleted. All of his social media is in the process of being scrubbed. But after his name was released, a lot of people went and grabbed screenshots. I grabbed a few. This is a Libs of TikTok post. And as you can read from this, I mean, look at the irony and how disgusting this is, right? Read the second post. I'll read it out to the chat just in case.
Yeah.
You can't. It says, you should visit the victims in the hospital. This is a reply he made. You should visit the victims in the hospital of the Trump rally victims and attend the funeral of the firemen that died. Trump certainly would never. Show the world what real leaders do. And this was directed at Joe Biden at the time and Kamala Harris. He was a rabid Democrat who was considered himself a disenfranchised Trump voter. He definitely didn't like that Trump was saying he was going to end the war in Ukraine. And if you want, Gary, I actually have a clip. It's a minute long. It's the video. So this is all true. He was filmed by Newsweek in 2022 about his effort to recruit mercenaries, American soldiers who had fought in Afghanistan. Essentially, he was trying to recruit them to fight in Ukraine. All right. And he essentially, I'll put it up on screen. This is the video. This is a clip from that video. I watched the entire video. It's like 10 minutes long, but this is just a 2-minute clip. I'll go ahead and play it out for the audience. So this is the alleged Trump shooter being interviewed about why he wants American soldiers to go fight in Ukraine.
Tell me who you are and why are you here?
56 from the U.S., from North Carolina originally. So live in Hawaii now. So flew all the way from Hawaii here. So the question as far as why I'm here, to me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil. This is a storybook, you know, any movie we've ever watched. This is definitely evil against good. I mean, we're battling a situation here where, you know, the Ukrainians and the rest of the world are caring and kind and generous and unselfish and take care of one another. And it's just a matter of, you know, we need to stand up for that. That is the most important thing in the world, is just to show human beings that we're kind and we're caring and that we take care of one another and that the world is united so that we feed each other and make sure that, you know, we all move forward as one collective whole unit. So, you know, we feel the pain of one country's failure and their conflicts, and we enjoy the successes of other countries that are doing good, and when we all work together. For some reason, Russia does not grasp the concept that we're all one unit, and we have to get along and work together and be normal human beings. This is 2022. We have to work together. It seems asinine that we have a leader in a country that does not understand the concept of being unselfish and being generous and being kind and just the basic moral values that are required by human beings these days. It blows my mind.
Tell me.
I mean, that is so hypocritical, considering this is the guy talking about being kind and not selfish, who grabbed a gun and tried to assassinate a former president and a major party's presidential nominee. I mean, the irony is just unbelievable. I'll let you guys react to that because I'm actually angry about this. I'm angry about the way the media reported this when the story broke. I'm angry that he was able to get as close as he did after the president had already had one assassination attempt get on his life. I'm angry. I'm angry because we're living in a clown world where no one is being held accountable. I don't know if the Secret Service is identifying now as the National Weather Service so they can get it wrong half the time without being held accountable. But this is like getting so absurd. And when they gave their press conference today, they framed this as if it was a success. They said, well, our Secret Service agent engaged him one hole ahead of where the president was going to be. This is a win. We're going to pat ourselves on the back. And I was thinking to myself, you're considering this a win? How did he get on the golf course? That is an L for you, number one. Number two, your Secret Service agents engaged this guy and they didn't get him. He got away. Some guy took a photo of his license plate and another law enforcement agency picked him up. So you're patting yourself on the back and calling this a win. Are you crazy? Like, am I living in a clown world? This is like ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's right, Red. Well, and you say he got away. Like, how far away did he get, Red? Like,
so he got away. So this is the story so far that we know. This has been confirmed. Originally, the reporting was that two guys got in a firefight and it had nothing to do with Trump. That was all reported. That was completely not true. Now what we know is a Secret Service team was sent one hole ahead of the president. So he was on the fifth hole attempting a birdie putt. By the way, in the most Trumpian thing of the year, besides getting up and yelling, fight, 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 they asked Donald Trump about the situation. And the first thing he asked about was his golf partner because he didn't see him and he wanted to know if his golf partner was okay. And then the next thing he said was, I almost had a birdie on the fifth hole and they didn't let me finish my golf game. He was mad because he was about to get a birdie and the Secret Service wouldn't let him finish his game. And that is Donald Trump. And that's why I love the man and he needs to be the next president of the United States. But from what we know now is a Secret Service team was sent one hole ahead of the president. A Secret Service agent saw a barrel sticking out of a fence, and in that fence, the guy had built a sniper nest where he put ceramic plates because he was ready to engage with the president's Secret Service detail. So he had ceramic plates where he made himself a little sniper nest. The Secret Service saw it, engaged with a handgun. That's a hard shot. I'm not giving him slack. He's shooting at a guy with a rifle with a handgun from about 150 yards, 200 yards out. It wasn't a good look for him, but the shooter got away, jumped the fence, got into a vehicle. Somebody took a picture of the license plate of the vehicle. That information got to law enforcement. And from what I remember, it was either the local police department or it wasn't Secret Service. It was either local law enforcement or FBI detail that ended up picking him up. I listened to it about 2 hours ago and the details are a little fuzzy, but that's essentially what happened. But yet the Secret Service gives them a press conference and they said, and I'm not even exaggerating here. They said if Donald Trump was the president, that no one would have got on the golf course. There would have been enough Secret Service agents there that he would have been fully protected and the guy wouldn't have gotten on the golf course in the first place. But considering that Donald Trump isn't the president of the United States, the fact that they were able to get this guy one hole ahead was a win. They patted themselves on the back. They did such a good job. And I'm thinking to myself, someone failed a perimeter sweep. Either the guy was there with the sniper nest, you did a perimeter sweep and you didn't find him, so that was incompetence, or you didn't do a perimeter sweep, again, incompetence, and he should have never made it on the golf course in the first place. Trump's schedule wasn't published, so how did this guy even know? And I talked to George Santos, the disgraced congressman, about this on the space today, and he said, even if Trump's schedule isn't public, right? If Donald Trump is in Florida and it's Sunday, you can assume he's going to be playing golf. And my response to George was, well, how do you know he's going to be playing golf at the time he was? He could play golf at 8 a.m. He could play golf at noon. He could play golf at 4. How did this guy know he was going to be there at the time he was? And there's only two ways, because I really wanted to understand this whole scenario. One, he either camped out overnight and just said, all right, Trump's going to be playing golf tomorrow. I'm going to get there hours before, and I don't know when he's going to be there. And if that's the case, then the Secret Service has a lot of explaining to do, because in that scenario, you got a guy building a sniper nest on the golf course. The Trump motorcade pulls up. Secret Service does an entire sweep of the golf course and they don't find the guy. Now they got questions to answer. Likely, if that was what actually happened, they would have found that guy as soon as the motorcade arrived and they did the initial sweep. So that's not what happened. So now you have to assume he either saw the motorcade arrive, ran over there after the perimeter sweep happened to get through the Secret Service's perimeter somehow, or he knew exactly what time Donald Trump was going to be there. And that's going to open up some even more questions for me. Charlie Kirk was one of the first people to put this out. He said, how, when Trump's schedule wasn't published, did this guy know to be there at the exact time he needed to be there? Because Trump, like I said, that's a good question. Go ahead, Dave.
You know, Red, what we need to do is we need to ask anybody in the audience who's in the area to just go out there with your phone and interview groundskeepers. Because the groundskeepers make rounds. They will be out there all day long. They know everything happening on that golf course. They would see it. Forget the Secret Service, the groundskeepers who let them off for the day. Somebody, because you're telling me groundskeepers aren't going to notice the barrel. Those guys know everything happening on a golf course. I mean, that is their baby, right? You know, that's like their private lawn. So if anybody's out there, if you want to do something, go interview the groundskeepers, go interview the people that would be out there raking, driving around doing the mowing for the day. And let's just put it out here. Let's just do it ourselves. If CNN's not going to do it, if the news aren't going to do it, let's just have Gary and divisive content do it, right?
It's a great question. And that's why we need independent media more than ever. We need people talking to the groundskeepers. We also need people talking to local PD. Local PD has a lot of information. They had to coordinate with Secret Service. They had to coordinate with his Secret Service detail. And the fact that this was so close, you're talking one hole away, that they sent an advanced team one hole ahead of the president. I don't care what anyone says. After a unsuccessful assassination attempt, this person should have never been able to get on that golf course. I'm sorry. I'm a private drone pilot. I know with the civilian technology I have, before the president goes out, I could send up my drone, do a scan of an entire golf course. I've done it. I've worked for golf courses, have 8K video of every inch of that golf course. And if someone was camped out overnight with a makeshift sniper nest that they built, I would find it with my civilian equipment. You cannot tell me that the Secret Service doesn't have access to security drones, and it wouldn't take them less than 10 minutes with 2 or 3 agents and a security drones doing a flyover of that property to find that guy. So either that guy wasn't there overnight and he saw the motorcade arrive, and as soon as he saw the motorcade arrive, he jumped into action, avoided the Secret Service in the perimeter, and got one hole ahead of the president, or there is something more sinister going on here. I'll let the audience make up that decision for themselves. I have my beliefs, but I don't want to make the temperature rise any higher than they are.
I see you getting ready to talk, but let me enter. Red, what about, do we have a photo of the barrel? Because that barrel would stand out as being a problem.
It was an extended barrel on an AK-47 platform.
No, you said they did something to the fence. There's some change in the fence that you were saying.
No, so what he did was he bought ceramic plates that you would use for like a bulletproof vest. If you've ever seen a bulletproof vest, you can get steel plates or ceramic plates. The ceramic plates don't have as much stopping power, but they're lighter. So what he did was he put those ceramic plates on the fence to build essentially a little barricade where he could have the gun in between the ceramic plates and have like a shield system. That's what's being reported according to the press conference.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm shaking my head in disbelief that that's allowed. My point is, anybody, you don't need to be trained to see that that's weird. I golf at the same golf course every time at Disney World. Like, we'd go every morning. And I knew anything that changed on that golf course. So surely a Secret Service agent who's worked this golf course multiple times with Trump over multiple years would notice anything. I mean, from a tree being different, from a planting being different.
Well, I think, guys, we need to accept that we don't really know anything yet. Like, we should all be so suspicious of every piece of information we hear from anyone, unless they can show you a picture, time stamp it, and like, I just think we need to really be cool about the data, right? I'm sure someone's going to give us the story, and we can determine whether it's real or not. The last story on this was it the 16th, a month ago?
I I have the picture, Gary, if you want to put it up. That's the picture of the chain link fence with the plates that he was hiding behind. Allegedly. It's in the bottom below if you just want to put it up.
Allegedly. Yeah. Okay.
From Benny Johnson. I trust Benny. Benny's a really good source. He's usually
now, no, this is different. Add to stage. There you go. Okay. Yeah, I saw this and it wasn't clear enough for me, but like now that you tell me that's what it is, I'm like, okay, that's what it is. That's the way I would do it. But so what, guys? We caught him.
Thank God. Thank God, Gary.
Well, we caught him. Okay. We know that there's going to be more.
Yep. Unfortunately, you're right.
Well, I mean, why would you stop it? If you're the enemy, please tell me, okay? Like anybody just put themselves into this situation. Why would you stop here? Now, I had my friend Fred show up. He then like bounced, either had technical problems or he didn't like our subject matter. The only reason we're necessarily talking about this kind of crap is because we don't have enough other input yet, guys. So Fred, love that you came in. If you want to pop back, happy to have you. Hopefully you still have power in the Pacific Basin. That was kind of a sideways joke. I think California is just going to implode. People living in California, I just really just do not even get how you get comfortable living in California at any level. And this is a guy that used to live at 1501 Doheny Drive. I mean, it was an awesome location. Okay. But that state, I'm going to New York tomorrow. Shit, what time is that? Probably. I'm going to New York tomorrow. And I would say New York, when I used to go to it, its main emotion was anger. And, aggressive, but in California, I would say the major emotion when I was there was fear. I just had this observation. Wow, just everybody's scared to death, insecure as shit. And if you think about it, fear is far below being angry, right? I don't know why I bring that up other than I don't see how Grant's Malibu property doesn't get just tainted, because there's like, once you lose law and order, you have lost law and order. Well, I mean, it's not like it gets put back in a little box and everybody behaves themselves, guys. I think people are misunderstanding what happens here. When you lose law and order, you have lost law and order. It's not like you're going to be able to fix it with an administration. Like we keep thinking that we're going to be able to write an amendment, or, oh shit, man, we could fire those teachers and start over. I mean, there was only a few little kids abused and we'll get over it. This is a whole country having to go through this event where no one is going to trust anyone. Okay. So for you Trump haters, you hate him, Anthony Scaramucci, you hate Donald. Okay, cool. Now, who else do you hate? Can you tell me who else you hate? Because I have a feeling that you're probably going to say you hate Kamala Harris. And if you don't, that's really a challenge for me. I'm like, whoa. Okay, if you can't hate on her, but you can hate on a guy that's been shot at least 2 times, could you agree that that's probably not the best solution for us, at least Kamala? I don't know how you can't hate on her, but can you hate on the people that put her in that position? Because she's clearly unqualified. Can we hate on anybody of a similar level? And maybe that's the question we should be asking all the haters, because I don't hate anybody. I don't talk bad about. I don't put things out. Trump is dead. Okay. I think she is an idiot. Happy to pay $1 million for an IQ test between her and Trump. Dude, like $1 million to your guy, $1 million to my guy. I'll take that bet right now with anyone. Just do a test. Okay. I don't even have to smash any stuff. I'm just saying that from my observation capability, I'll bet $1 million of my little bit of money that Trump destroys her in a IQ test. So, okay. Oh, character. Let's do a character test. All right, dog. Let's do that. Now, let's get Kamala to undergo 20% of the questions that Mr. Trump has gone under. I'd take that bet that I'd be okay winning that would not be discoverable or discovered or much less made transparent. So, and you can go to all these other people. Like clearly there is someone, and it could be the Republicans. I am not a Republican. Okay. Do not confuse me with a Republican. I am not a club guy. I don't join clubs, don't like clubs. I think they get fucked up. I am a American who loves people who love freedom, and they want to be more productive than they are taking. That's who I am. And I think we might actually do really well getting away from the Republican system. That means the RNC and the DNC and every one of these people, all the PACs. Like, you can't keep doing this. This is outrageous, okay? This ends with everyone being really, 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 really unhappy. Everyone. So, yeah, I would rather ask people when they start getting negative about anyone, guys, ask them, hey, who else do you hate? Okay, and you can't just pick on one selection of people, one color of ice cream. That's not cool. That's not fair. And I'll challenge all you guys, my buddies in Wall Street, that like, I don't get how you're even supporting this group, but that's cool. Okay, you do, whatever. But you must hate this guy so much. Who else do you hate? Because I see you literally supporting evilness. I can't get, and I can't call it anything else. It looks very constructed evil. So, it's disappointing to have to do this shit. I don't want to be talking about this crap.
I couldn't agree with you more, Gary. I couldn't agree with you more. I got Gary, if you're interested, I have a 40-second clip from CNN reporting what was on the shooter's person when they arrested him. All right, it's ready to be approved.
I haven't seen it yet.
Hold on. Let me get it there. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
In the area of the shooting, sources say they recovered a backpack and a semi-automatic rifle that was described as an AK-47 in the preliminary reporting, and a GoPro camera. The last piece is very interesting because it suggests, if there was such a camera there, that this individual may have wanted to record himself in a first person doing the shooting. Wow. So a lot of questions to be answered. Is the suspect, they have the right person? Is that the right car? The weapon that they have has to be processed for evidence and ballistics. If there's video on that camera, if in fact it was recovered as we are told, what will that tell them? But that is what we are seeing right now in the air.
Yep.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? This is another sign, in my opinion, Gary, of the sickness we have in our culture. We have a bunch of live streamers going out in the street and barking at babies. This guy took a GoPro with him to kill a presidential nominee because this is a sickness in our society right now. Anything for the internet clout, anything for the attention. It's so sad, in my opinion, that this is where we're at. The fact that he had a GoPro, he wanted the notoriety. He wanted to film this. He knew he was going to get caught, but that footage was going to make him famous. And unfortunately, a large portion of our country would have viewed him as a hero. He knew that before he put that backpack together and went out and did this today. And that's a shame.
Are you suggesting that this is just a solo player and he?
I don't think so.
See,
I think
you got to be really careful.
His Ukrainian government ties, right? This is a guy who was actively trying to recruit American soldiers to go fight the Russians. We just watched the video about, he was talking about how the Russians or the Ukrainians don't lie and they're not selfish. And this is clearly good and evil. The Ukrainians are good and the Russians are evil. I would be shocked if this guy doesn't have encrypted messaging apps with connections to Ukrainian intelligence, connections to NATO. I think that we're going to find, you know what? I hate to say it, Gary. I hope we would find these things out, but in our current political environment, I don't think we'll know anything. I think they're going to lie to us so much. They're going to minimize the severity of this entire situation that we're never going to know the truth, just like we're waiting and we still don't know the truth behind the first assassination attempt.
Yeah, Red. That's this is going to be problematic going forward, right? Because this not having a second attempt now there's a this repetition is going to cause kind of, I think now it's going to be like me next. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's going to almost, this might cause a chain reaction, right? For people that were in this situation. I will say this. Now, I'm friends with the guy from Ukraine. He's in Ukraine with his family. And I did ask him, I said, he's there with his wife and child. And I said, this is just friendly conversation. I said, did you hear if Trump gets in, he's going to end the war? And I said, would you like that? And he told me, no, unless it's on our terms. And he gave me the terms. And I said, I didn't understand. You see what I'm saying? I have an opinion, but when a man in a war zone with his wife and kids are telling me that he's still ready to continue this thing, even though he's in jeopardy and his family's in jeopardy, I have to take pause and kind of go back and rethink where I'm at, right? Not necessarily agree with him, but realize the severity of, the strength of mind, I guess, at that point. That conviction.
The sad thing is, Henry, that right now, the Ukraine is running out of men. They're conscripting preachers. Catholic priests are being conscripted to fight this war because they've run out of military-age men. They're conscripting their women because they've run out of military-age men. There is no good guys in war. There's good people involved in every war zone. And because the leaders in Ukraine or NATO have an issue with the leaders of Russia doesn't mean every Russian is a bad person or every Ukrainian is a good person. There are good people and bad people on both sides. War is hell. That's not my quote. And I usually don't cuss on stream, but that is the truth. And it's never this, like, America, we have to get away from this comic book society where there's the Avengers and the comic book superhero who's morally upright and only has a minor flaw and everything's black and white and good and evil. War is hell, and there's always shades of gray in war. There are bad people in the Ukraine right now that would throw every able-bodied male into the Russian meat grinder if it means a U.S. check comes into them so they can buy another apartment in Paris. And those people in the Ukraine are not good people. And the same thing can be said about the Russians. This war needs to end, and Donald Trump is correct. If he becomes the president of the United States, whatever those conditions need to be, the conditions that need to be met to end the death and the destruction, that's what needs to happen. And it might not be what the Ukrainians want. It's definitely not going to be what the Russians want, but it needs to happen because I'm tired of living in a world in 2024 when me, Gary, and Henry can have a conversation and we're all over the place. We're not even in the same zip code. We could sit here and have conversations, and yet we got a bunch of people dying for corporations and governments that couldn't give a shit about them. Absolutely. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely, Red. Yeah, Gary made an interesting point. Gary, it's critical that you get your business friends and start uniting them. Like Red was saying, through this communication that we can do here, the Bloomberg is absolutely going after business leaders. I just leave it on in the background. I keep hitting on this when I'm on your show, Gary. But like Anthony, I like that man. I wish he would come on and chat with you, and you could have a real live debate like we're having here with him. And I don't mean like an adversarial debate, but like you on a friend level with him, right? Where you guys are equals, and then you're like, hey man, tell me why are you this way? Is there anything that you're looking for that's not in the Kamala Harris, camp? What is it? Basically, let's get these guys over to our side before it's too late. And Gary, and I mean these business leaders, right? Because these business leaders are going to shape this. The reason why they're going after them with Bloomberg is to shape.
No, I actually don't think so. I think that hey, Unisocial, I know you want to come up, but the problem is it says devices are not connected. Therefore, you can't come on the stream unless you've added your mic and your cam. So you're starting to bug me. I've pushed you off the stage twice. Number 3 here. If you come with a camera and a video, show up. Cool, dude. But I can't keep you. You're starting to like take up a lot of my energy. Thank you. God bless you, son. Let's see. Where were we? So yeah, I think like you know what we need. We just need to ask people what they hate about other things. And I think that we just spend so much time getting sucked into a little piece of cheese and then we all go into this trap. And there's free cheese in every trap. I would ask, why is anyone putting their face on social media massively trying to distort someone's view on who should be elected? Like, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm asking you to go vote. I think when you close the curtain, if you've done any fucking research at all, including AS, you're going to actually pull the same card I pull. Now, I can tell you who I'm doing. I don't care. Just go vote, man. If you have a social security number, go vote, okay? And if you see abuse in the streets, fucking intervene and clock the bad guy. That's what you know what?
People are afraid, though, Gary. Look at what happened to
hey,
the
there's a
man
bunch
in
of
New
babies
York.
out there, dude. Hey, there's a bunch of boys your age, boys, dude. Like, I've been watching some videos. I'm like, wow, notice
they're
the
pussies, Gary. They're pussies, and all their role models are wimps, too. All their role models are wimps. This has been a problem. You know, I'm doing an episode with your brother, and I'm really excited about it. We've locked it in for September 26th.
He's a pussy, dude.
I'll tell him you said that. But the title is called Masculinity and Financial Literacy. And one of the things I want to ask him about is how come this generation of young men is afraid to stand up for themselves? How come it's so different? These are guys who have never been in a fist fight. They can watch somebody getting mugged on a train or getting harassed, and they'll just keep their voices down. Don't get bothered. And I understand some of it, Gary, because they see what happens. You remember Daniel Penny? He was the guy that stopped the psychopath on the New York subway from like literally killing people, and they put him in jail. He wasn't protected under the Good Samaritan law in New York, and they put this guy in jail for like over a decade. And men in this country, depending on where you are, you know what? You're lucky, Gary. I think you're in Florida. In Florida, you can defend your neighbor, but you can't in California. You can't defend your neighbor in New York City because they'll put you in jail.
What do you mean?
The right thing.
What do you mean I can defend my neighbor? I can jump over his fence and save him from being raped and pillaged?
Absolutely. If you're in New York, or not, if you're in Florida, not if you're in New York. In New York, they'll put you in jail.
Well, and you know, I think Gary's been putting some really great video content out with the people defending, and that's what I think you're referring to, Gary, right? A device or Red. I don't know if you know this, but there's some great video where a guy's motorcycle's being robbed from him. He gets off the motorcycle, walks behind a pole, pulls his gun, and takes him out. You know what? When my wife tells me, I kid you not. Now, I love my wife, but she tells me, she's like, over a motorcycle? And I was like, honey, I love you. Just damn right over a motorcycle. Damn right.
Did you see that comment from Glenn? I see you in the comments, Glenn, over on YouTube. Thank you for supporting Gary in this panel. He said, yep, I'm done fighting the good fight. I'm in LA. There's too many of them. And that's sad that we live in a country where in some places you're free to be a good person, but in other, depending on your zip code and what state you live in, it determines whether or not you can be a man who stands up for what's right. It shouldn't be that way in the United States of America, but unfortunately right now it is.
they divided us, Red. And so Glenn, my best suggestion for you, Glenn, if you're on Twitter, find a network of men who will stand with you. And because that has helped me a lot. I had wanted to be silent until Gary brought me on. I was going to be silent through this whole thing with an opinion, but not voicing it. And now I'm in it. Again, vocally anyway, right? So Glenn, that's the best thing. My best advice, get on Twitter, get to know these men. There are really good people that will back you. And then I think as you feel like, if you feel stronger, Glenn, then you'll feel safe enough to speak out, right? Because now I feel better because I have a network of men around the world that have my back. That feels good. It makes me feel more confident, right? That's what Gary, you leading this, because as an older, wealthy man who's made it in life, you're leading us along, right? You're pulling everybody behind you up and lifting us to where we are finding some kind of confidence to speak out now. And that's what's critical, Glenn. And so please join us on Twitter. Follow Gary. You'll see all of us go to Gary's page. He's a great hub. And so you can link to individuals from there. So, and Red also. Red always is covering really great topics, interviewing wonderful people. But Glenn, that's my suggestion. I think if you had a strong network of men that you could stand with, I think you'd feel confident, right? Because when you're isolated, right? We're not stupid. We realize when we're outnumbered, and there's nothing to do when you're outnumbered but capitulate or die.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, we need to get strong, guys. They're coming, okay? And somebody's just going to have to say it, okay? Maybe it's me. I always wanted to go down at fighting. I did. I've always wanted to be the guy like, wow, I have something so exciting to fight for that I end up in, like it's a big deal. And I'm telling you, as much as like 2 weeks ago, the weekend, hey, Joe, good to have you, buddy. 2 weeks ago, and you can fault me for this if you want, but like 2 weekends ago, I just literally would not even come on any social network because I know these people are going to go further, and it's disturbing me. And then I'm like, you know what? This shit is happening right now. You cannot stick your head under the pillow and smoke a cigarette and think it's going to go away, dude. Hey, who gives a fuck if you're feeling depressed about it? Joe, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Joe. Good to have you, man. I said, I think this is the moment, dude.
Well, let's just start by I'm so glad they intervened and the former president is safe. That's wonderful news, right? It could have been much worse, and I think you correctly called this attempt, and more that were probably going to come down the pipe. But at least somebody's doing their job, at least for tonight.
Yeah. Did you expect this?
I mean, I don't know how in today's climate, how folks running for president don't expect assassination attempts all the time. The real key question is, how do they get this close, right? And I don't know if we know enough details. Obviously, the former incident before this one, it was ridiculous, right? It almost absurd how close they got to assassinating him. And I still don't think we have all the details on that one. But this one, it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, based on everything I've read tonight, that the guy didn't even come close. He wasn't even remotely near him. So,
nope, yeah, 300 to 500 yards. I have a minute clip from the press conference if you want to watch it.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
All right, I'll bring it up. Give me like 5 seconds to get it.
Yeah, Joe, I agree. I mean, Joe, are you? I met you a year and a half ago. If I would have told you this all was going to be going down, you'd have said you're insane.
No, assassination attempts. Come on,
huh?
You don't think there have been assassination attempts on every major presidential candidate for the last 10 years? More longer.
No,
I mean, going back to, we just don't hear about them. A lot of them, they don't even come close. They're foiled before they even get on the premises.
I've been quite aware for a long time. I think the point I'm trying to make is, would you have ever imagined anyone would socially go out a year and a half ago, hey, there was going to be multiple attempts. I I mean, this is unprecedented, man. No, you're gonna sugarcoat this one on me?
I don't mean to sugarcoat it at all. It's just very serious, Gary, right? But like, Reagan was shot. I mean, a lot of presidents have faced, going back 100 years, they faced assassination attempts.
Yeah, but what's the point,
real
though?
story? The real story is this, right? The real story is, from my view, how did the Secret Service have such an absolute malpractice to allow the prior incident, right? And then after you get the warning shot, where it grazes his ear and he almost dies, right? Because you're talking about inches before the bullet would have hit his head. Not even inches. How do you not have it on hard lockdown and you're allowing, I think you said 500 yards, still, a decent distance, but still too close for comfort, right? Nothing that you would want to say that's a good mission accomplished type approach from the Secret Service. So that's concerning, right? How do we continue to have these mishaps? How do we continue to have people, not doing their job, which is a big problem.
Yeah. Well, it's a little... What's that?
Couldn't hear that.
Say again.
I have it teed up for you whenever you're ready, Gary.
Okay, let's see when it shows up. Joe, I'm just really surprised at how arrogant the whole thing is. It's in your face, okay? But now maybe you don't think this is organized. I think it's organized. Yo or no?
I don't know. I mean, what
do you think? At this point, because our data is so tainted, and I trust no one.
That's good. I mean, you shouldn't trust it.
But
I mean,
what do you sense out of your 35, 40 years of being on this planet and being a good investigator? Mm-hmm. Like, what do you sense is going on here? Because to me, this is a bit unprecedented.
My sense is that there are lots of folks that are not doing their job. And the question for me is, are they not doing their job out of animus towards former President Trump? Are they looking the other way? Or is it something broader? And I want to be very clear. I don't rule out that it could, I think, which is your bias. You think it's some broader effort, some bigger conspiracy. It's possible, right? And I would never sit up here and say that I can definitely rule that out. But
well, I think it's actually more positive than if the entire U.S. government is that incompetent.
I mean,
to me, it's worse if they're incompetent, because I can actually probably put a bunch of bad people in prison and kill them, but I can't fix incompetence.
Yeah,
and we were supposed to be exceptional.
Incompetence.
We were supposed to be the exceptional Americans, right?
It's true. American exceptionalism, bullshit, baby.
Yeah, I mean, we've always known that's kind of silly, right? Like the idea is that there's a lot of people that are phoning it in, and I like I said, I don't rule out the fact that it could be something broader. It could be something purposeful. It could be a conspiracy, right? To me, if it were conspiracy, okay, conspiracies that at that level, mission accomplished is what they don't let a guy under the premises, let him get within 500 yards, and not let him take out and accomplish the goal twice, right?
Wow.
So explain to me the conspiracy that's allowing this to happen, but is failing at every turn to accomplish their desired end. That doesn't make sense to me. That, like, you know what I'm saying, Gary? That doesn't jive. Like, if there's this powerful conspiracy of very well-connected people that are trying to take out former President Trump, how are they not successful? How are they failing?
Because they're incompetent.
Maybe there's something
that's ridiculous.
Maybe there's something else in play here, my friend.
What is the something else? Acts of
maybe,
God.
Maybe God put his little finger on this deal.
I certainly think that's possible for the first assassination attempt. I mean, you're
talking. If it's possible for the first, it's possible for every one of them after that.
So he's got divine protection, so there's nothing to worry about, right?
I'm not worried. Hey, I have Bitcoin, dude.
He's on in Blues Brothers. He's on a mission from God. He's on a mission from God, so he's got the Blues Brothers protection, Gary. So you should be. I
don't think it's funny. I don't think it's something you should laugh about. But I have Bitcoin and guns, and so I'm pretty prepared for what I think is going to happen, because I think there's a group of people that have gone absolutely mad, and they're showing their skirt. They're going to expose themselves. They always overplay their position. If this was a client you were going against, you, Joe, would tell the client, hey, listen, if we could just fund another 10 months, if you can fund me another 10 months, I can give them so much line that they will literally just drown themselves.
Yes. I mean, so, okay. I agree with the point you made. The people are very erratic. They're out of control, right? Their reactions are causing them to do extremely stupid things, right? But that's different. The people have always been, prone to those sort of tendencies, right? That's different from the larger question, which you seem to be suggesting about this broader conspiracy. So can we unpack that for a second there? Explain to me the views of the group. Yeah. Well,
can we unpack it?
I mean, you see, yeah. I mean, anybody else wants to get in? I mean, explain to me the nature of a conspiracy so profound at the highest levels that they're able to get within spitting distance of the president, the former president, and not succeed.
Joe, you remember Iran-Contra?
Sure. Yeah.
You remember? Do you remember that Shinzo Abe, the former prime minister of Japan, was killed like person to person? He was the killer was literally on his person, like physically touching him. The problem here, Joe, is that they can't use trained professionals for conspiracies like this. They're dependent on MK, whether you believe it or not, MK Ultra. They're dependent on people that are affiliated patsies. It's always been patsies. Oswald, look at the lone gunman throughout history. It's always a lone gunman going back to Lincoln. You can't use the best sniper in the CIA to commit this, to do a conspiracy like this. They're dependent on people that they monitor.
Hold on. Going back to Lincoln. I don't know how much you know about John Wilkes Booth, but he was not a lone gunman. There was many individuals who actually,
of course,
it was a broad conspiracy, and they hanged them all. So
that's actually my point. That's actually the point. So if you had a similar thing
succeeded.
Today,
they succeeded. They
did succeed. All the other ones succeeded except for who was the one who shot? Was it Reagan? Was it Sirhan? Was it Reagan? Sirhan?
No. Who is it? It's
I always get the Sirhan and the other shooter confused. But the point is, if there was a conspiracy, right? Again, I'm not claiming that there was. I'm actually leaning in the incompetence camp. I believe diversity, equity, and inclusion, this like training that the government has been implementing for the past decade, has created a pandemic of incompetence. But if we are going to thought experiment the idea that this was a conspiracy, what if this guy is connected to Ukrainian intelligence or NATO intelligence? Would that surprise you? Considering his personal views?
I mean, look, I want to emphasize, I'm more of a skeptic at this point. I'm not firmly in either camp. I know that this shouldn't happen. The incompetence is well documented, and I think that's where we start.
Thank you.
Yeah, but Hinckley. Okay, so but let's go back. What you just said was not accurate about they all succeeded other than Reagan. I mean, Gerald Ford had 2 assassination attempts on himself.
Andrew Jackson survived his. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Andrew Jackson survived his assassination attempt. Andrew Jackson.
Oh, sure. I mean, there have been so there was a report that came out that there were 24 assassination attempts on Obama over the course of the presidency. You don't hear about them because they never got close, right? A lot of the times they're stopped 10 miles away when they've got some, things like Thoreau wants to get on that one. But go ahead.
I was just offering agreement with that. It seems like they were stopped a little further away, doesn't it, Joe?
Right,
Always.
right. So as I said earlier, like my big question in my mind is like, how are they getting so close? Undeniably, it's far too close, right? And is that part of the conspiracy? We're letting them get all this close, or there's another way of allowing that to happen. I'm going to look the other way. I'm just not going to do my job and allow these unstable, mentally deranged people to get access to this guy. And fingers crossed, hope they succeeded.
Because do you remember the Gretchen Whitmer case? I think this is a perfect point to bring this up. Do you remember what happened in the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping?
Yeah, I don't remember all the details, but yes, I know generally the story.
and you know why the men got off, right? Because the FBI was proven in court to be involved in entrapment. Right?
Proven in court. I didn't
Yeah.
catch that part of the story. How are they
Yes,
proven in court? There was a
so
trial on it.
Yes, yeah, they were tried because essentially what these guys did were they were given training resources, they were radicalized in a chat room by FBI agents and convinced to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer because of the COVID lockdowns. And when it went to court, they actually got off because this was proven in court by their defense attorneys.
Okay, so I just looked it up. That first of all, the two of them pleaded guilty, right?
They
They're currently
pleaded
serving
guilty
time.
to the attempt. They pleaded
the-
against it to the attempt. Yeah.
That's always that was the charge. So the two of them pleaded guilty. The other two were acquitted at trial, and two other men got a hung jury. So I don't know what you mean proven at trial. They don't
why were
prove
the
a
two
fact.
acquitted? Why were the two acquitted?
So the two acquitted, and I'm just reading the summary here. I'm not giving any insight. The two acquitted, they pulled the jurors afterwards, and the jurors believed that there was doubt as to whether they were part of the overall plot. That's what two of the jurors said. We acquitted because we thought there was doubt as to whether these two were part of the overall plot, as opposed to the principals who had already pled guilty, turned state's evidence, and testified. So I don't know where you got they proved that the FBI entrapped them. That I can't see a juror that said that based on the public reports.
It's in the nest. Well, Gary's got to prove it. It's in the nest. But this is the point, right? That
but a jury doesn't decide that question. You don't.
I'm happy to add it. Is this the one you're talking about? Reed?
Oh no, this is the clip about the shooting, how close the shooter got. This is 20 seconds or something.
Yeah, I'd love to see this, by the way. We were going to play this.
Yeah. Happy to have it. But I think it's a success, right? Like, are we saying the Secret Service didn't do their job? They did their job. We just know there's people that are hunting this guy.
Absolutely. And I mean, there were, like we just talked about, there's a couple dozen that hunted Obama. Right? There's a couple dozens that will hunt whoever the next president is, Trump or Kamala. There will be mentally deranged, crazy people. And the question in my mind is, how are they getting so close? That is the absolute miscarriage.
I'd like to know how they're getting so activated.
I'll go ahead and play the clip. Here you guys go.
Go ahead, my man.
How far away was the president?
Breaking up though. It's not good audio. Can you start the audio read again?
Yeah, I'll turn it down a little bit.
See, I always want to say red. I don't want to call you Reed because Reed.
It's red. It's red. It's red.
It's red.
2 Ds. Yeah.
Thank you.
How far away was the president when this gentleman was caught?
Probably between 300 and 500 yards, but with a rifle and a scope like that, that's not a long distance.
There you go.
I could make a 300. Hey, I could make a 300-yard shot. I mean,
I could too.
Dude, that's one hole. That's one hole.
Yep, it was one hole.
Yep,
one hole away.
Oh, is that what one hole in a 18-hole golf course is? 300 yards.
Roughly.
Yeah, it's like a quarter. It's a quarter of a mile, guys. They're a quarter of a mile away.
Yeah. Hey,
I could take you out, Joe.
I'm sure you could.
I mean, you have an abnormally large IQ, and no, but your head is prominent.
My head is too big. I get it. Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I'd be a sitting duck. I wouldn't have a chance. But what I will say is that is far too close, right? And that nobody can make a credible argument that a person with a rifle should get within a quarter of a mile of the president. Like that is clearly a breakdown in security. And you will hear no objection or argument from me any day on that point.
Yeah. I mean, I literally know people that will not only sell me a weapon that can do 1.5 miles, 2 miles, but they can also train me how to do it in less than a day. I mean, the equipment today is so spectacular that it's hard to miss. I mean, it's just stupid. But I mean, this is not 300 yards is not a lot. Not for a nice scoped weapon.
Hey, Gary,
So-
can I interject here? Did you
Yeah,
guys
but
see?
before you do that though, like I'm surprised Bitcoin's getting dumped on here, Jeff.
That's true.
I mean,
It's
let's
a, it's
be
a
honest.
discount. It's
We
a
know we're going to
sale,
forget
Gary.
this attempt. It's on
a
sale.
sale. It's on
dude,
sale, bro. I'm buying it.
58,556.
Not financial advice. I'm out here shopping at the discount rack, the clearance rack on Bitcoin, brothers. Let's go.
Joe, it's kind of interesting because, last time this happened, it was on also a weekend, but man, it moved. Bitcoin moved hard on what was that? The third? No, that was the 11th, right? 11th of August. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's down, 2-3%. So off the local high.
Yeah. You think that's what
55,458 is probably a good number for it to come touch.
55?
55,458 looks like a pretty good number. That was real quick. I pulled the chart up, and that looks like maybe if people are looking for an entry, that might be a decent one. Not financial advice, but that's where I'd be looking. Joe, I know Gary wants to keep going with Bitcoin here, but could you think about Darth Flyer posted $2 to this, and they said if this succeeded today, we'd be in martial law. How ought one conduct themselves if martial law takes place, Joe? Can you talk on that, or is that I don't want to put you in a weird spot, but if you can, I think men should know how to handle themselves here.
So I guess I just so I understand the question, you're asking if martial law was declared, how should people react, right? Is that the I first of all, I disagree that if a president was assassinated or if a presidential candidate was assassinated, that martial law would be put into effect. I don't think that's right. But aside from that, let's just assume the hypothetical is correct. I'm not going to fight it. If martial law is actually implemented, right? What the historical precedent we have is that they have to sort of secure. It's not a permanent type arrangement, right? It's supposed to be secure areas on as needed basis to prevent further harm to people and property. And where we have had this, it's, we've seen martial law declared in face of natural disasters. We've seen it occurred in political instability in the United States and outside the United States. In those situations, right, people should stay in their homes. They should have adequate food and medical and take care of themselves and not venture forth, right? They should just stay away from whatever escalation is occurring. Now, the notion that the entire country would be sent under martial law, I find that very difficult. And what I would do, I would just tell you, I do not believe that would be constitutional to declare the entire country under martial law. I would probably be in a courtroom the next morning, assuming the courts are still open, arguing against that, because I don't think that's appropriate. It's not a proportional remedy to take place to shut down the entire country. And by the way, folks were doing this with COVID when they put lockdown orders and shelter in place orders and closed businesses. Within days, people were in courts challenging these, arguing that they were exceeding the scope of authority for the federal government or the state government wherever applicable.
Thank you for that, Joe. Yeah, Darth Flyer had requested that. I'm not suggesting that's what would happen either, but that was the question. So thank you, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, listen, what I think the point is, and sometimes people use these terms, and I don't want to nitpick about the terms, but in my world, terms are everything. Like words have a lot of meaning, right? What I think is being suggested by Darth Flyer, it sounds like, is there would be some real instability, right? That we would be very nervous about a lot of situations blowing up and a lot of conflagrations developing across the country. And I think that's right? Like I would expect there to be riots, okay? And I would expect there to be riots across the country very quickly if this were to occur. I think people would take to the streets.
If what were to occur?
If the former president were assassinated, right? Do you disagree with that, Gary? You don't think there'd be riots if the former president were assassinated? I think there would. I think there'd be protests and mass demonstrations. I think people would lose their minds. It would be, it would be so, people would feel like it was planned and it was purposeful. And this man who everybody dislikes among the establishment, among the mainstream, among the deep state, whatever you want to say, that he was taken out. And that will be the common, reaction, just rage. I'm interested. Feel free to push back if you disagree with that. That's just my gut. My gut says that people would be very upset. I don't think they're going to sit at home and just mourn. And say prayers.
Let me, if I can ask you a couple of questions here.
You can always ask me whatever you want, Gary.
Yeah. And I'm going to probably reduce the stage here just a little bit and I'll bring you guys back up. Are you okay with what's happened right now?
Of course not. Of course not. It's not. I think I've said like 3 times. I don't think it's appropriate, Gary, that they're getting this close. It's wrong, right? So there's clearly a breakdown in security. Something is happening that is not supposed to happen. Let's just start with that premise, which I think we both agree on. And then the question becomes, what is happening?
Yeah. What is that, right? What is that? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't you know me well enough. I don't jump to conclusions about stuff. I speculate to some degree,
but we're at a point now where one time, like I predicted both of these. I'm like, hey, this is not that I'm trying to take credit for it, but this is very obvious to me now what's happening. Like I will suggest that something else now has to happen on U.S. soil in the next 50 days or multiple things just out of the blue kind of things. I think that has to happen because if one of these was organized by a group of people, the likelihood of it being organized by a similar group of people or even getting a contagion from crazy people, who cares? If someone inside started the first one, and it's hard for me to imagine that a month ago was unorganized by a 20-year-old. Can we agree to that? That was not a 20-year-old, hey, I did it myself.
I don't think he could have done that. Yeah. At a minimum, I think there was severe incompetence. At a minimum. Probably more.
With severe, as a lawyer, is gross negligence. And gross negligence is actually, what is that? That's an offense, right?
It can be a criminal offense, yes.
Yeah.
It can also be civil, right? But
it's either a gross negligence or it's organized. I personally do not believe that kid. The only thing he was probably willing to do was get known in history as taking a bullet in his face. That's probably all that he was convinced to do. He's going to be more famous than everyone on this space for sure, right? Yes. So who knows what 20 years old, dude. People get confused easy at 20.
Yeah, and they're easy to be manipulated. And if there were actors behind him that were whispering things to him and telling him about what a great legacy he would have, it's easier to bring that person into the fold and cultivate them as an asset, which is what they do, right? They're experts at doing that if it truly is part of a grander scheme or conspiracy. And again, I'm not ruling that out. I still don't think we have all the facts about that. I said that earlier about that first incident, but in Pennsylvania. This incident, right? Like we're just hearing about it a couple hours ago. Like I said, to me, the president plays golf. He's played golf for years. I don't understand how they didn't have sufficient security measures in place to prevent somebody from getting within several hundred yards of him with a AK-47 scoped rifle. That does not seem to be sufficient protections for him 50, 60 days off. Hell, if it wasn't even, it could be a year ago, right? And he was contemplating running for president. He should have never been remotely close. And for them to do it now when they should have the most heightened security 50 days out from election is just appalling that they allowed it to happen.
50 days after a prior, it's not like we're in peace land, right? We're not peace land today.
So let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's just say there was just sheer incompetence, gross negligence that led to the first incident, right? If you and I were running the Secret Service, or anybody of any reasonable competence were running the Secret Service, after you make a massive, fuck up, excuse me, when you do that, you do something, right? You try to figure out a better solution. You make sure we check everything, and you recheck it, and you check it again, and then you have an independent agency check it again. You don't just like go shuffle on and have something like this come up, 30 days. What is it now? 60 days later.
So I hear you, man. And this cat right here, Christopher, he's like, yeah, still don't know about JFK either. See, I think we're paying for the sins of the past, where we have yet to really demand our government tell us what's been going on. This will continue, man. Like, I see a pattern big enough to go, hey, there's a pattern here. I think this is highly organized. And the guy today, I'm throwing him in that bucket because I can go back 60 years and go, whoa, there's a pattern here. It's just a methodical pattern. And so I have lost trust in my government. That's the point here. When a whole society of people, whether you say it or not, lose, and I'm a good American, dude. Like, I gave $1 million away to like politicians that probably is the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. But minimally, it's good karma. The intention was right? So I know I'm a good American. And what I see going on, like, quite frankly, I was having a conversation with a very wealthy financial buddy of mine. I'm like, he's like, hey, where would you go? I'm like, dude, I actually think Moscow would be a really cool place to go hang out for 3 or 4 years and safe. Who would have thought? He agreed with me. He's like, wow, that's amazing. You said that. I would never say that out loud, but I wouldn't be scared to go there as an American. Interesting.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So I understand why you have your belief about the current state of, I guess, a conspiracy to assassinate Trump. I don't dismiss it, and I don't want you to think I do. I do know that there are people that aren't in the place where you are. They're not, for whatever reason, they have a different mentality. They're far more skeptical. They're more trusting of the government. I think you'd agree on that. A huge general group of the population are just more trusting. They're more willing to, I guess, stick with the mainstream narrative that is fed to them. And my comment to your question, rather, is what I've noticed over the years is the way you break that is you have extremely you have high levels of evidence, right? You have a lot of proof, right? People stop believing the mainstream narrative about COVID, for example, once they started living it, once they started experiencing it, once they had family members have it. Okay, once they went through a couple seasons, they weren't as willing to just do whatever they were told to do. Now, my comment to you is, if you're correct, right, it makes it hard to push the narrative about a conspiracy or deep state after Trump unless you have evidence, right? And how do we as a society get the evidence when you're dealing with people that are probably intelligence, that are covert, that they're not going to be easily exposed as I guess folks that are engineering a plot. Okay, so let's assume you're correct. How do you galvanize public support to the same degree? How do you get the evidence out there? How do you get the message out there? I'd love to hear your view on that.
Yeah, I think one is, I love this question, and thank you for asking. I actually think this would be very easy because I know these type of people. Okay, if I'm correct and this is actually happening, these people are very easy to undress if you actually go about it and understand what you're doing. And as a lawyer, I think you know what I'm talking about. Okay, there is a certain personality, and I have an experience with this that gives me a little bit of an edge. And it's exactly the way I would need to do. I would have to be this type of personality to orchestrate what I've seen occur in the United States over 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I would have to be so narcissistic, so sure, and probably that's because of coming from seriously old money. Look, I can actually understand how, if I grew up in a monarchy, I mean, I'm a perfect guy for this. Grow up with a name, That name has all this legacy baggage to it, whether I like it or not. I grew up in it. I could start to, hey, you know, we know better than other people. I mean, it's just a slippery slope. So what I do know is that till this moment in time, we still do not know the truth about JFK. And there's probably things before that, but my history is limited to that. That's my real-time experience. Until we know the true story, and 320 or 40 million people have accepted that it's okay that we don't know. That is what we have done. In fact, nearly 1 billion people have accepted over the last 60 years that we don't need to know. I think that point in time is coming to an end, because if you do not,
why do you think it's coming to an end?
Because if you do not at some point tell the truth about what the skeletons in the closet are, you are bound to replicate those exact behaviors, whether it's murder or whether it's insanity or whether it's genocide, whatever. You will repeat it because you got away with it. Check any Enron story, any story, General Electric, General Motors. Well, we fixed a problem. Let's do it again. And it just escalates, Joe. And we are at escalation stage 37. I'm an investor. Okay. Like, I have a shitload of money all over the fucking world in investments, in payments, in real estate, in cash, in Bitcoin. It's not just my Bitcoin. Like, I'm like, wow, man, I fucking worked this hard, amassed a tremendous amount of money and potential capacity, and they're going to fuck it up on me. Okay. They're going to come take away my rights, your rights, my kids' rights. And it's fucking uncool, dude, because they're bullies. See, if they were competent and they were like really doing something proper and I ended up having to take a hit over it, I'd be like, okay, that's the better good. There is no better good here. It's fucking Elizabeth Warren good. It's not the public greater good.
Right.
Like, I actually think you and I met, I said on a space one day, the moment you and I, at least for me, where we bonded, was I said, hey, I have no interest in holding on to all this Bitcoin that I'm collecting. I'm going to take this Bitcoin, sell it, and I'm going to reinvest in the future. Okay, that's the kind of person I'm in. Where am I going with? I'm going to take all this money? I'm not taking it. Dude, it needs investment. But how can I invest in this world today?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't go to France. I can't go to Brazil. I just told you on a public space, dude, I think Moscow is a great place to go to. And you didn't disagree with me. Like that's wild.
Yeah.
So we are in a new paradigm. And I think that, one, I would like to see our government, if they have nothing to hide, then we should be able to see everything. I think you can handle if there are UFOs and John F. Kennedy was killed by J. Edgar Hoover.
I don't disagree.
You can handle it, right?
I think people. Yeah, I mean, I can handle it. I would love to know the truth. I think that sunlight is the best disinfectant in the system, and I want the truth to get out in all things. Right? I believe in adults should have honest conversations. The problem I have,
I think actually, I'm going to just challenge that we have to demand it now.
Well, that was going to get to my question, because we have
to demand it now.
We have
and
to
we
demand
should be
it.
able to demand it because we lost trust.
But that goes back to my question.
Verify. This is the Bitcoin thing. Hey, don't trust, verify, validate.
That goes back to my question. There are far too many people that remain trusting. Okay, trusting people. They don't scrutinize. They don't challenge. They don't question what line they're told. Okay, and that's how you get into problems. And we see this time and time again. So my question to you is,
what percentage of the population is that? Do you think?
65%.
Okay, so see this. See, I love you, Joe. Most people would just get rolled over by you. No, I actually like this because, I mean, look, 65% of the population, if they are the ducks, they're going to follow the bread wherever it goes.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, that's cool. That's the bell curve. We just need to acknowledge, how do we then initiate these people? Because they're not going to care.
So it was widely documented, right? And let's just give you an example. And this is one that's not just on the right or the center, right? Take the left. Everyone saw the train wreck of the debate Biden had. Okay. Everybody did. I think if you're a thinking person and you watch that train wreck, how could you possibly still support this man to run for another 4 years? And Gary, the scary thing is, I talked to Democrats after that are some friends of mine, and I try to explain, listen, I understand you're not going to ever get behind Trump, but you saw what they're offering. Does that really seem like a leader? And they fell in line. They continued to support the man after that train wreck of a debate on national
I got to
TV.
tell you,
And
though,
it was only one thing, Gary. It was only until Obama and Pelosi and others came out and started to have George Clooney write op-eds about it that they actually pivoted and turned and changed their mind. They had to have leaders like literally force them to adapt their thinking because they're so unwilling to even see what's right in front of them.
Joe, you're so young. It took less than 10 days, dude. Come on, man. It took less than 10 days to do a coup. Wait, dude. August the 11th, Trump got smashed with a bullet in his ear. Okay. And then 1 week later, Biden is missing in action and Kamala starts running. Now we have Kamala. Listen, I actually think I would disagree with you. And I actually have it on recording. So you don't think I'm a ding dong. I thought Biden did a freaking great job, dude. Relative to what I expected him to do, it was not embarrassing. And I am on recording saying, hey, I don't think the socialists, I don't think the Democrats can build a case to get rid of Biden. And then he was eviscerated. I'm like, wow, why did that happen? Now, having said that, Kamala did an excellent job the other night. I don't care.
We agree on that.
I don't care if she cheated, right?
But
she did a good job.
24 days. It took 24 days from the date of the date, so almost a month, right? You had to
24 days, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean that I just wanted to double check my memory wasn't playing tricks on me because he released all these defiant statements afterwards. I make no mistake. I'm not leaving the race. I'm not dropping out. George Clooney had to come out. Then you had Adam Schiff. Then you had a couple other people come out, from the high-ranking Democrats. Then you had Obama behind the scenes and Pelosi. All this is not my opinion. It's documented and reported, right? So the point is, like, even after that train wreck of a debate, he still had a bunch of the party still behind him. Why is that? Why are people so, they see it with their own eyes and they're still unwilling to question? You're on mute, Gary. Thank you.
Tell me why.
I think that, like I said, it goes back to what I think you push back on, which is I think 65% of the population does not do independent thinking. 65% of the population likes to follow whatever they're being told. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. We need to get back to the era where people think. And I think Americans can do that and get there. But we have to get, we have to get some critical reasoning and some analytics there where people like actually question what is put in front of them. Because there's too many people that just believe whatever they're fed. And it's not right.
So who are these people?
I mean, I think there are a lot of, what's the archetype? I think it makes up a lot of different groups. I think some of it is people that perhaps are, really, I don't think they have enough challenge in their life. I don't think they're actually in their jobs or in their roles. They're trained to be followers as opposed to being leaders. And one thing I always gravitate to, I can't remember the exact quote, but it's something like the mark of a good leader is not to create more followers. It's to create more leaders. That's what a real leader creates, more leaders. He doesn't create more followers. That's not the goal, right? The goal is to get somebody to replace you.
Hey,
okay?
Whoever's fucking watching this, clip that little moment. That is worth at least $100,000. Okay. The stuff I told one of my guys the other, Joe, hold your thought, okay? Because I love you, that. But like, there's so much value in these conversations. That's why I'm doing this. That comment to a 20-year-old kid, you should stack it, write it in ink, tattoo it on your damn arm, dude. Seriously, I mean, it's so valuable, this piece of information. Anyway, sorry, Joe.
No, I mean that's it. I feel like our education system's got to be at the root of it, right? People are trained to memorize, repeat, and do the same thing someone's telling them to do. And one of the things I love about our spaces, if you go into any of them, right, we disagree about all sorts of things. We keep it respectful. We have good conversation. We challenge each other with evidence. Okay, we don't know how to do that anymore.
Hey, speaking of evidence, so this 65% that you think are, let's use a word for it. I'm going to call it. They're willing to. They're. What would be a good word? Because it's a little bit like it. I just want to make sure we're talking about the same personality. The 65% is pretty much unactivated, the kind of ghosty. Probably 60 to 100 grand a year. No, probably 30 to, well, there's an economic number, right? It might be bigger than that. It's interesting, actually, when we start talking about like, hey, what is that economic number? Is it a particular race or?
I think it transcends races because I see it in there's different demographics, right? It's really more of, so
I mean, there's 6,000 people listening. Like that means that there's 4,000 people that are in this band we're talking about. I wonder what the audience thinks that band is, because this is really valuable for us to like take the cover off and go, hey, 65% of you guys are going to get completely fucked. That's what Joe's saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, so let's be clear. I don't think it was always that way in America. I think in the founding of this country, you had far more of a libertarian mindset of people willing to challenge the status quo. I mean, think about, Gary, the people that founded the United States, okay, that came here. What is that? I can't make that out. Oh, the bell curve. Okay.
The bell curve, man.
Yeah.
It's the bell curve. It's always been there. I think it's always been there. This is a natural law.
Do you think, is that true when you have, a generation of people that left, they fled poverty or they fled persecution. They came here, they looked for opportunity. They were entrepreneurial. They started, they founded the nation. They came up with a new set of laws. They created a democratic republic, right? They seemed more entrepreneurial and willing to take chances. Whereas some of the people they left behind were the more compliant, submissive, unquestioning, docile, obedient people, right? That was the European model. Okay. That was people that we're just going to keep being persecuted here. Whereas I think more of Americans in our DNA, we were fiercely independent. And my question is really, have we shifted? Have we lost some of that over the last several decades for whatever reason? Maybe we get too comfortable. The old adage about how, good times create weak men, that type of thing. Okay. Have we gotten so comfortable in our position of prominence that we're just very docile and submissive and unquestioning with whatever's being told to us? Because that's my bias. That's what I think. I think people are too comfortable. They're not challenged in their lives.
Free cheese in every rat trap, bro.
Yeah.
Cheese in every rat trap. I think that's how we explain the last 30 years of our entire existence. It's like it should be the title of a book. Like, what does that mean? Like, it means we have given away almost everything for a piece of cheese.
And what is the difference between somebody who gets something for free, gets something for nothing, and somebody who had to bust their butt to get it? In your mind, what does that do psychologically to you?
There's one word: hustle.
Yeah.
Hustle.
But
hustle is like a little angry. You notice most hustle guys, you're like, hey man, that guy, like you look at me and you go, hey, I would not want to run into Gary like if he's really focused, right? And I don't even try to do that. But it is in my nature to be, if I'm like, hey, there's like that's cool. I'm gonna keep my ethics in. But this thing about running into a trap for nothing.
In my law
practice, it's never been in my code, though. Okay, I think this is almost imprinted in people to be that we teach people to be like this, Joe.
We absolutely do, and even the reason I'm hesitant about carving out a specific demographic is because I'll give you an example from my law practice, Gary. Okay, I have run into occasionally some exceptionally smart people, high intelligence. Okay, and I was thinking about bringing this up in your hitch slap room the other day. I run into guys with extraordinarily high IQs, guys who graduated from Harvard Law Review, top of their class, very bright intellectually. Okay. But they get punched in the nose in a courtroom with an argument, or you throw a jab at them in front of a judge, they lose it. They can't,
Really?
oh yeah. No, I mean, it's like almost like you're messing with them psychologically, because they have been told their whole lives they get straight A's on everything. They get every answer right. They never don't have an answer or a question. But you give them an undercut or a jab, even rhetorically, I'll throw it into the oral argument, they fall apart. They lose it. It's almost like, wait a second, mom always told me I was perfect. I never got any answers wrong in the test. And this guy just gave me an uppercut. So my point is, like, I think you can get that compliant conformist even at high IQ levels. I think you can get somebody who's very.
I agree, man.
That's all I'm saying. Like,
all you have to do is to go do the vaccine study, right? Like, it didn't matter. It was just, it cut across.
Right.
So I think that just because you're smart in business doesn't mean that you're not run by your wife when you get home. I mean, or your kids. Like, I've seen a lot of guys that are massive alpha males that, you know, they go home, dude. They're completely out of control.
And that's part of the animus and hatred for, I think, former President Trump, right? When you deal with former President Trump, he is a bulldog, right? And there's plenty of stories of him getting the better of people. Maybe they had higher IQs, all right? Like people that probably are more eloquent, had better schooling, you know, came from better backgrounds, but he got the better because he is a bulldog in his negotiation tactics, and he's extremely demanding. All the accounts show he's basically, a pain in the butt to deal with when you're having to negotiate across the table from him. And I think that goes back to the overarching question about that IQ versus other attributes, because I frankly see time and time again where IQ isn't the deciding factor.
Is not.
Well,
you should have shown up, because this is a huge lesson for people. Okay. It's huge. People put too much value on IQ. I don't even get it. Like somebody, I think Grant was asking me, "Hey Gary, what's your IQ?" I'm like, what do I care? Why the hell would I want to care about my bloody IQ? There's so many other things you can't even measure about me that I'm not going to go get stuck on something you can measure. Kinda. You know, that makes no sense to me. I think the whole world is pretty weird, personally. The question is, though, Joe, how does a guy like you and I, if we believe the 65 or 70%, I think the number could be higher, that they tend to get comfortable following. I don't need to judge that. What I need to do is, as a leader, I believe that most people want to follow. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Someone else would have shown up here. And I would much rather be in the audience right now. Personally, it would be easier for me to be in the audience and pop up. So naturally, there are just certain people that are leaders, and I happen to be one of them. I can sit here and not say that and pretend like I'm not, but the truth is, it's going to open the door for more people to go, whoa, 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 this guy's bringing fucking some shit, dude. Like, I am much more valuable than Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I have to be, right? Like, right? So if we could start figuring out, whoa, like I met you how long ago? Like we don't always agree, dude. I like you. I think you're a good human being, and I'm going to invest time and energy into you. And I think if we could like start supporting that 65% to get to 50 or 60, that's a big move. Okay.
Let's talk about that. Okay. So I agree with you that most people probably would prefer, it's a far more, you put it well. I think it's easier to be a follower. It's easier just to sit back and listen. Right. But again, the job of a leader is to pull people not to what they feel comfortable in, but to pull them to their potential. Because I believe everybody could be a leader. I think it's an essential role, whether it's leader of your household or a leader of your business at all levels, right? Leaders don't necessarily have to have power. They don't have to have, the ability to order someone. They can lead through their influence. They can lead through what they say, what they do, how they come with their character, all of that. But my point is like, okay, I don't want to go work out today. That doesn't mean I shouldn't go work out, right? It's the same thing with leadership, right? If you're a follower and that's your natural tendency for that 65%, the job of a person in power or a person in leadership should be to pull them to a position where they're getting out of their comfort zone. That's the job. And how do you do that? How do you pull somebody who's not very comfortable in a leadership capacity? And I believe you challenge them. And this is where we got to get back to, Gary, the whole free cheese, right? That you brought up. You can't give people everything. You have to make them work for it. That's the only way you push people and get them to stretch their potential, is to actually challenge them.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think before that becomes accountability happens, because you can't really, maybe challenge and accountability is the same thing you're saying, but like actually start having these kind of discussions and going, hey, look, this is not coming free.
Right.
It ain't going to come free. It's not going to come with your attitude. It's not going to come with, I mean, I listened to a guy on Spaces that was 24 the other night, and you have done enough stuff with me that you're like, okay, this guy's not normally rude.
No,
I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, I think my brother can be rude. I said to the guy, I'm like, you're 24. You should shut the fuck up, dude. Your brain
I heard that
is not
space. Yep.
even matured. You should shut up. I cannot imagine that this host gave you this much time. I have no interest in listening to a 24-year-old kid unless he's Alexander the Great, man. Bring him. Bring that cat. I want to meet that guy. But these little wankers, and I'm 60 years old, 50 years old, 40 years old, 30 years old. These people that are hiding, I cannot tell you how many people looked at, texted me and like, hey man, you shouldn't be doing this. You're my lawyers, bro. You're going to get attacked, huh? I'm like, well, okay. Yeah, maybe I am. And should I stop? Because I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
And I think this is the point, right? I don't think Donald Trump's done anything wrong running for president of the United States, and somebody keeps trying to shoot him. It's not me. It's not you.
Yeah. I mean, I've been told by other lawyers, like, you can't be outspoken. You can't go and have social media presence. You can't say this. It'll offend people. And I just say, like, that's a bunch of BS, right? Like, every time I go out and speak about these things, I get new people saying, you know what? I believe what that guy's saying. I want him to represent me. I get clients from it. And the old dogs, they'll tell me, oh, that's a terrible strategy. You need to be in your suit. You need to be going to conferences. You need to be, the boring traditional marketing stuff. And I think it's just absolutely terrible advice.
You should have been at Token 2024, man.
Right.
You have a young child, right? A
Yes.
wife, and you want to go to Token 2024 when you can do all this. Like, really, man?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You got
I mean,
it.
this world's changing beyond what people really understand. That's why it's very important to me. I like that you're sticking your beak in this thing. And it may be my way of looking at you and other people like you and going, I mean, Fred popped in here and then he left and whatever. Like, I know everyone's getting adjusted to this. And when I look at you and other guys like you that I admire, I'm like, they should be doing as much or more than me. I'm like, okay, I need to do more. Because this is weird, man, for me. I would never have told you 3 or 4 years ago I'd be doing this.
Well, this is the biggest thing. This is, and we've talked about this a couple times, but I'll just catch other people up in the audience that are listening. I think this fundamentally changes the whole nature of our system, right? Real-time access to information. And there are people on Twitter all the time that have spaces like, and their news, their breaking news from experts in real time analyzing things is better than anything you're going to see on traditional media. It's way better. You get firearms experts, you get foreign policy experts, economic experts, legal experts. I've been in some of those spaces, right? And before you'd have the stodgy old people on CNN and what's that guy, Jake Tapper, giving a rundown with 2 or 3 planted people that they're going to say only the safe remarks. It's going to be highly censored, highly controlled. What do you think people are going to pick where they get their information from? They're going to pick up a format that's open and lets people that are informed all talk in real time, and it's not censored. There's not people cutting each other's off, and occasionally we talk over each other. Maybe we don't use the nice language all the time. We let it get a little bit heated, but that's what people want. People want truth.
Well, there'll be so many. If they don't like the way I use the fuck word, they can go somewhere else. Okay,
Right.
It's cool because all they're going to do is be paying $1 to $50 a month. I mean, the savings program here, it's very interesting for me because I came through the Bitcoin piece, right? And I'm like, oh, divisibility and decentralization and value. And then I start doing this stuff with, I meet you, I meet Henry, I meet some other guys. I'm like, hey, what's this deal, man? I'm meeting a bunch of cool people. I've been in a bunch of, I've never met this many cool people around a subject matter. And I happen to notice the subject matter is one subject, not three. Grant called me up one day and was like, hey, man, you need to really broaden your Bitcoin. You need to broaden your speaking comments. I'm like, yeah, I think Bitcoin's just fine, bro. You have not done the survey. Because the survey on Bitcoin, the gravity of Bitcoin is so severe. I've never seen anything like it, Joe.
Yeah, it changes everything.
Well, and also it plugs into so many different avenues, one of them being this. And it's interesting that technology, this is the point I was trying to make, technology has led us to decentralization through a centralized hub, X, right? You and I doing this on a decentralized number of computers.
Mm-hmm.
X is holding the platform centralized like Coinbase. And as long as Coinbase, in this example, X, isn't like treated like they are in Brazil, then this is going to be a really cool way to take decentralization and take information and make it available to 8 billion people. This is the only way real information gets spread to 8 billion people. Do you agree with that?
Oh, completely. And it's funny because your remarks, before I jumped on the stream tonight, I was doing edits of my book, which I can't wait to share with you because I think you're gonna love it because it's a Bitcoin legal.
Hey, tell us about it, man. Tell us the name and where they get it and all that stuff.
Like I can't. It's not out yet. We're more on that to come. But it's a Bitcoin legal thriller, right? And the reason why it popped in my head as you were going through this is that the Bitcoin and obviously the law, which is this rigid, slow-moving apparatus, it just does not compute with Bitcoin. Like there's a ton of tension there, natural tension. So it's a fiction work. It's a work of fiction inspired by some real cases. I think you're going to love it once it comes out, and I'm finally done with the edits. But the point is that like I get to play around with all these concepts, right? Decentralization, the government, forces, extra government forces, right? You get to have this natural tension there, and people, I believe, Gary, to your earlier point, most people do not sit down and they say they want to learn. They sit down and say, I want to be entertained. So the reason I wrote it as a work of fiction, right, is because I think it'll be entertaining, but they're going to walk away with real insights about the world.
That's cool, man. That's very cool. Do you have a name for it yet?
Yeah, but I don't think the publisher is going to be happy with me sharing it yet. So it's coming. It's coming. You're going to get an early copy. You can. I want to get your honest feedback. I worked really hard on it. So.
Well, I look forward to it. That's cool. We need more people writing books. And so, hey, listen, how do we get this 65% more involved?
Oh, that's how we get them. So I think the first thing we have to talk about, and this is not popular, but we're here to talk like adults, is I think we need to have people take their medicine a little bit in our society. And to your point about challenging them, I think we're far too concerned about avoiding pain as a society. I see this all the day. Don't worry about having to work hard to lose weight. You can pop a pill. Okay. Don't worry about having to do this because there's an easy solution. Don't worry. And this is honestly, this is my biggest concern about AI. I've had many back and forth about AI. I feel like I've got, I'm dealing with other lawyers on the other side, lawyers in my firm that are spitting back AI and they're not even reading it. They're not even checking if it's accurate. And it's really troublesome for me because I think the worst scenario is where people turn off their brains and they just rely on the computer to do the thinking for them. That's going to make society weaker. It's going to make them less discerning. And that's the big thing. Like you need to use this as a tool to refine your own thoughts as opposed to just, throwing it up to the computer and letting the computer decide. I can't tell you how many times I've had a conversation with somebody online and they'll spit back, they'll actually screenshot, well, Chat GPT says this, Joe, And I'm like, okay, well, it's wrong. It's just wrong, Gary. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not negative on it. I'm very bullish on AI and where that's going. But we can't use it as an excuse not to think. And I know you don't view it that way. You're on mute, I think, again.
But it's coming, and it's coming fast. Yeah. I think it's gonna. I think there's certain areas that are being grossly overestimated as to how fast it's coming, but I think there's a number of areas that it is most certainly coming. And look, I on that, once you knock something down to where do all these industries first start? The truth is, in the things that people don't necessarily like to talk about that they do. Sex, cleaning. Like, I don't want to walk my dogs if I don't have to, dude. I have $100,000 worth of dogs. I mean, like, it would be so cool for me to be able to buy a robot that could walk my dogs twice a week. You think about it, right? Like, I'm just using examples as like, this is a monster example, right? Like, well, what would it, like, the problem with dogs for everyone, for every family, not cats, but dogs, is that you never have one master.
Right.
Imagine if you could buy a robot for now $16,000, which used to be $150,000, and it can make coffee in the morning. I already have a robot that makes coffee in the morning. It just doesn't bring it to me. Like, I have an espresso machine, right? Yeah. But what if, they're security dogs, dude. They'll rip your throat out. And that's why you need someone to walk them, right? But the problem is my kids walk them. Not consistent. It's not the same. Heel, stop, attack, right? It's not boom, boom, boom. This is my point about governance, because I look at really simple analogies. I'm like, hey, if you can train a dog, you can have a kid.
Right.
If you can train a dog and leave them in Walmart that can knock somebody down and kill them, and he doesn't leave for 5 minutes, I think you're valid enough to have a child. Right? Because you had to spend a lot of time with that dog, for sure. And now the robots are going to be able to do all that. And I am going to become smarter. I'll become smarter, man, and I'll become more productive.
But you will become smarter because of who you are as a person, because you've been challenged, because you're fiercely independent, because you're a leader, because you have all those attributes. My concern is people coming up, leaning on these things, and never having to go through. I know, I don't know your whole background, but I know you worked your ass off to get where you are. I know it wasn't just handed to you. I can tell just from talking to you. It's really easy. And I think it's, when I talk to somebody, that goes back to that 24-year-old who was mouthing off. I can tell the 24-year-old that's Alexander the Great versus the 24-year-old who's done nothing, just by how they carry themselves, how they talk, how they speak. It's very obvious to me, just going through a couple lines with them and asking them any general question, how they carry themselves. I can hear it. Whereas, the people that I think I'm concerned about is the people who want the easy answer. They don't want to think, and they're just going to go to the AI and say, tell me what to do. Have this figure it out. I mean, I've heard story. Go ahead.
I wonder though, the reason I put this up, I've never been a big proponent of this idea. This is the bell curve, right? Man,
right.
But I just think it's the bell curve. I've actually kind of almost lost a little hope in humanity, because I think literally that it's just the bell curve. And in fact, if that's true, if most people live in a medium area where they're like, okay, it's all like, I have not led a medium life, but I have not led an extreme life. I don't think so, but I've definitely not led a medium life. If that's true, I think AI might help people find how they find the edges. Because if that curve, what is that curve measuring? That curve is really measuring some normal. But what if you were to like fracking wells? What did they learn from fracking wells? Oh, wow, instead of drilling one hole in the ground looking for a reservoir, what if we could tag one reservoir and then spread them out, right? Or what if what if, because you don't have to go to work every day and talk about legal bullshit, you could be like, hey, I'm actually a genius, man. I'm a philosopher. But because the way we have our economic system and the way we have our whole social system that drives people through this education process so you can make money, if AI is solving so many problems that a brilliant mind like yourself could be like, who are the people that we think the most of in history? The great thinkers, not the great doers. Oh, Alexander the Great's a different. Okay, so the great thinkers and the great doers we remember.
Don't you think that don't you think even the great thinkers were doers? Because think about it.
I probably should have studied more great thinkers. Quite frankly, I may not know as many as you know. But my point is, like, I'm finding myself at a stage in my life. I'm like, okay, hey, I've learned a lot on this planet now. Like, I have some belief systems. The question is, are they real or not? And then I'm looking at, the Platos of the world. I'm like, these philosophers, they were sharing their vision from what they were experiencing, and I have a lot of experience. Right. Weird thing to say, right? It's a little weird for my ego. My ego's like, whoa. Like, I where did Jordan Peterson come from? I think he adds value.
Of course.
Right? I mean, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I just know, for example, Kant, Immanuel Kant. I don't know if how much you've studied his work.
Say who?
Immanuel Kant.
No, I don't know him at all.
One of the greatest philosophers of all time. Okay. He wrote thousands of pages. Okay. That's not just him thinking, right? He's doing the work. He was trying to deal with difficult concepts. He was trying to explain his thoughts, and then he would revise them later or respond to other great philosophers, his contemporaries at the time. I've never met, to your point, a great thinker who is not also a doer. Okay. That people do not earn their place in history by sitting in their room thinking. Right? They do it through sitting in the room thinking and then making it actionable, putting it down in writing, going and speaking about it, being renowned for one subject matter or another. Einstein, right? If Einstein would have confined his entire general theory of relativity, just his work as a patent clerk, and sat and did that work and never shared it with the world, never gone out and advocated, never spoke, never wrote, no one would remember him. Right, he would have died complete unknown, and to this day, his work probably would have been lost. It's in the doing of actually sharing your concepts and sharing your proof of work, to borrow a Bitcoin term, with the world that you actually make a name for yourself.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You make me think of something Grant said once. And when you're the brother of somebody that's famous and he writes a bunch of books, I mean, you're the critic, right? But he said this thing once. He was like, in our pathways, as you know, have been very, very different. But I think when he was writing his second book or something, he said, there's no how did he say it? There's no value behind obscurity.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's a quote. There, you get nothing. In fact, the people you could help, obscurity is actually it's an offense. If you were actually trying to help someone and you remain obscure, you didn't really even, to your point, hey, I haven't found anybody that had a philosophy that wasn't a doer.
Yeah, I mean, we get in the comments, you have Giovanni, right? He's the power law. He talks about it all the time, right? Whether you like it, hate it, are indifferent to it. To his point, Gary, he's going out and he's advocating about it. He's trying to explain it to people. He's trying to tell people where they've got the interpretation wrong. And again, maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. Okay. The point is, at least he's giving his viewpoint and he's not letting it die on the vine in obscurity. Which is, I think, the key thing. You have to get in that point where you're willing to say something controversial. You're willing to go against the grain. That is again a mark of a leader. It's not a follower. Somebody who's willing to get out there and actually express themselves. And it's not just about making money. It's not just about making money, right? It can't just be about making money. That's a real hollow existence, I think.
Yeah, it's never been something I followed. It's a very difficult conversation to have because no one believes it. But
what?
Well, no one believes that Oh, I've literally never chased money, ever. And now, the only way you'll ever believe it, like I've never chased money. It's not that has never been important to me. If you ask Grant, you will believe it. If you talk to Grant and I together, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, Gary's an idiot." And he was like, no, it's always about the number first. Because his belief is that he can make greater change with those numbers.
But it's still not about the number, right? What you just said. Even right? Am I wrong? Like, is it even with Grant? He wants the number for something else.
He would have already turned evil.
Right.
See, he would be into so many different deals. If you just look at the business he's into and the lack of red flags, and red flags are important. Mm-hmm. In your business, you're like, oh wow, Gary's got 2 red flags, 60 years.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I mean, it's fairly unusual. Normally, bad people come with tons of red flags.
This is
99% of the time. Is that correct? They come with a ton of fucking red flags.
The first thing we do when any client we sign up, or if we're prosecuting somebody, we look up, and anybody who's been around or had some success in business, I can always find something that they didn't do correctly, or some tangle with the government, or some tax issue. It always comes up. And I think it's funny because a lot of the trolls on the internet, they don't realize that. Like, if you've lived a life, if you've done something, you have made mistakes. You've had run-ins with the law, or you've been sued. I mean, if you Google my name, you can find I was a party in a case where a co-defendant was Hillary Clinton. This woman sued us and claimed that I was conspiring with Hillary Clinton, and it's complete nonsense, right? But like, the reason why she was a pro se litigant, and she filed against me because I got her case dismissed, and I was on the long list of grievances she had with everybody from Hillary Clinton to Justice John Roberts and everybody, and she sued us all. So if some troll on my Twitter page posted it and said, "Oh, you're conspiring with Hillary Clinton," like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're just completely like, somebody who hasn't lived a life, hasn't done anything.
So hey, what would you recommend to somebody if they have identified? Look, there's I don't know, a couple thousand people in the room, right?
Yeah.
The odds are that of the 2,000 people in the room, in that bell curve that we drew, the 65% that you say, that there's going to be a good old proportion of that right in the center that are talented, they're able, they have a voice, they just haven't expressed it. How do we get them on the edges, closer to you and me, man? How do we get them closer to you, man?
Well, what we want to do is we want to shift the bell curve. Okay, so let's just explain this, right? So the bell curve, if you're looking at the bell curve and you picture that the far left is follower, okay, and the far right is super leaders, like the Gandhis of the world, the big Martin Luther King Juniors. They're on the far right, and you look at that bell curve. The median distribution there is going to be someone, a lot of folks that are closer to the follower than the leader. We want to shift that distribution to the area of the leaders. And what I would say is, if you are a younger person, okay, it's going to be a lot easier for you to make that shift than if you have somebody that's, your whole career been a follower. That's just, you have to come to the space where you're at, right? And that's not to say that you can't change at any age, because I think you can. But I think if you're a younger person, the easiest way to get in that distribution you want to shift that median distribution closer to the right, closer to the leadership arc. And the way we do that is we start with young people, because they're more malleable. When you're younger, you don't have as much baggage. You have more of a chance to get out and challenge yourself. You can do it as you're older, but it's going to be hard. And the way I think you do it when you're older is, I think you have to really make a serious change. You have to do something really different. It can be leaving your career. It can be, starting a business. It can be something that's going to really test you in ways you haven't been tested your whole career. And it's going to be difficult because you're very comfortable as you get older. I think that's a big problem. It's a trap people fall into. I always try to learn a new skill or do something different. I've never written a fiction book. I started in the last year, and it's been an amazing experience to open my mind. That's just one tiny example, but I think there are many that you could do and you could exercise. If you're younger, right? You want to look at your life and say, okay, I could go to university, I can get the safe job, I can go, the well-traveled path, or I can do something different, or I can really push myself to try something really challenging. We can talk about what that is and what your skill sets are and what they match with it. But that's the key. It's not how do I take the path of least resistance? It's how do I go through the obstacles? I don't know if you follow Ryan Holiday. He wrote this great book, and I would tell everybody to read it. It's fantastic. It's called The Obstacle is the Way. You should read it, Gary, if you haven't. The Obstacle is the Way, again, by Ryan Holiday. And his whole point is what you should do is you should charge towards whatever's blocking your path. You shouldn't try to move around it or shouldn't try to avoid it, whatever it is. If the hardest thing in the day for you is to exercise, get up 7 a.m., 6:30 in the morning, go do 5K every day. That sort of thing, I think, will change your mindset. So that's just
hey, listen, I agree. I think especially in younger years, one thing that I will add to what you said, because what I heard you say was, hey, the younger people can maybe not adapt. See, I think adapting is an inferior skill. I think you should adapt the environment around you. When you become a master, you begin adapting the environment around you instead of, okay, I'm going to change to be accepted.
Agreed.
That's not what Joe and I are talking about. Joe and I are talking about becoming masters in something. And if you look at this bell curve, nobody said I'm a look, I am literally, can you guys see this bell curve, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, understand what Joe and I are saying. So I'll just take the bullets. Okay. I literally live 80% of what the world expects. I would say I live somewhere between right here. Okay. Meeting expectations to serious underperformer. Would you agree with that, Joe? Joe, that
yeah.
There will be areas that I'm an extreme underperformer.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can list it, but we agree, right? So
right, we do.
The challenge is for everyone is to go find that area that you're unique in. This is why school goes so wrong. The NBA, like, they lost their mind. They're like, they forgot what they were chasing, which is their dream. Like, I'm brilliant. Like, there's no way, you can't even compete. There is no competition with me anymore. In certain areas, I don't even think about competition. I'm like, I'm hanging out with you guys. We're all having fun. If you're competing with me, like, you're wasting a lot of energy, because I'm like, oh no, we're all going to make a shitload of money together. Like,
so,
right? So,
yeah.
So I'm just encouraging people to get off of this, get the fuck out of the middle of the bell curve.
Well, another way to do it, and this goes back to changing what you just said about changing your environment, making your environment adapt to you. Did you read Walter Isaacson's book about Steve Jobs? You ever read that?
No.
Okay. So folks
What's
should
your
read
guy's
it.
name?
It's the title of the book is Steve Jobs. Okay. It was a very well-known book. It was written by a guy named Walter Isaacson. Okay. And one concept that always stuck with me that I think is so critical, it's like a life hack. Okay. Steve Jobs was described as having what was called a reality distortion field, an RFD. Okay. And the reality distortion field was coined by a guy named Andy Herzog, Hertzfeld. Andy Hertzfeld. And Hertzfeld said that whenever Jobs approached any problem, he would come at it with so much charisma and confidence and machismo and this ability to like completely distort it. He would come in and say, we're going to get this project done in 2 months. And they'd be like, Steve, this is going to take 2 years minimum. It's going to take 3 years. We're going to have to hire 100 new people to get it done. And he would say, no, we're getting it done in 6 months. Here's how it's going to happen. And he would be able to distort reality. I mean, this is how they described it. Be able to actually convince others that the absurd or the impossible was possible because of his confidence and because of his machismo and his willingness to just say, F you, I'm going to get it done. And if you don't follow my vision, there's the door. That sort of reality distortion field, I think, is so critical. It's such a life hack for somebody coming in to face a challenge to just figure out a way to make it happen. And I've seen you talk about similar things. Like you approach problems saying, how do we make this happen? Not what are all the things that are going to prevent us from making it happen? That's the biggest thing I hear in my day. Oh no, we can't do this because of X, Y, Z, because of, that's one of the reasons why I'm so optimistic about the United States, because I think there's literally no problem short of, the sun exploding or something like that we can't take care of. We can conquer anything. You just have to have a mindset that is indomitable, that is willing to do whatever's necessary.
Yeah, you got to have passion. Yeah, you bring a lot of value, Joe. I just want to acknowledge you as a human being. Okay, you bring a lot of value. Whatever you're doing, you should keep doing. The story you just talked about reminded me of something like when I go into a deal. I see people immediately going to, well, how are we going to do this? And it's like the how is really unimportant. We have proven over the last centuries that how really is always achievable. It's why you would do something. If the why is big enough, the how just becomes so easy. And it becomes like a guy like you and me going, hey, we agree the why is big enough. Good, let's move. And then
that's Bitcoin. But that's Bitcoin.
You tell the troops, okay, we're deploying. Let's go this way.
But that's Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, I agree.
All these objections you hear about Bitcoin. Oh, it can't scale. It can't do this. It can't do that. Give me a break. Give me a break. Like everything can be fixed. There's a way to resolve it. There's a way to balance it. There's a way to have self-custody and also have
exactly right, man.
Custodial solutions. There's a way to fix the issues with the government and the government's antagonism towards it. Don't tell me you can't do it, because I think that's been refuted by history. But I have to run in a second here, Gary, but I have to get you. I want to hear one thing. We got to go back to where we started. I want to know, do you think that whatever's happening, let's just put it neutral, whatever's happening with the president, is your prediction, because you predicted this one, you predicted the second one, you said, I remember in a space you saying it wasn't going to be the last one. Do you predict that they actually have success, God forbid, before the election? Do you think they're going to actually get to him?
Well, I've never predicted that would happen, and
I'm asking.
I won't.
Yeah.
I think there'll be another attempt. I think there will be, and if there's not another attempt, there will be a colossal global problem. Maybe not global, but most certainly in the U.S. that wants to thwart the election. I'd have probably been a good attorney. I'd have probably been a good strategist for an attorney, because I'm very capable of understanding how I could be if I was evil. Like it's okay. Like I can confront me being an evil person. I think the people that are scary are the people that can't.
Yeah.
Okay. And I could rationalize a lot of shit, dude. I stopped working with public companies when I realized I had to lie. It just wasn't really you're not going to stay in the team if you don't bend reality. And so that's why I'm like, okay, no more. I just don't want to do it. And I'm going to die pretty cool. I'm about to die very comfortable. So for me, it's just a standard, right? I know some people have made mistakes. I've made 1,000 mistakes. But they're not anchors on me. And clients, you're like, dude, you have so many issues. You can't even get above water. I don't have that problem. But I think that, I think they continue to try to. I will be amazed if he's still around. I assume
that's what I wanted to get to. You don't think he's going to make
$1 million? Gave him the 12.8 Bitcoin. I assume that it was not going to be there
for the election. You don't think he's? Yeah.
No, I think they go to extreme efforts to either stop. I don't think there's going to be a vote.
Wow.
Even that's extreme, right? But we are in extreme times. And maybe it takes a guy from South Louisiana to actually say it, but we are in fucking extreme. And everyone needs to be reminded of this, because no one wants to confront this, Joe. Nobody wants to. This is not comfortable. It is not. 20 years ago was comfortable. AC, everybody's cool. Like 19, what was 2012? We were just worried about a little real estate problem. Everybody can travel around. There's no COVID.
20 years ago, 2004. It was like, the biggest news story we were talking about is, the Iraq war. That was it.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
what was Bitcoin in 20? What was Bitcoin then? Not
In
even around.
2004, not even around. Yeah, it was
Right
gone.
up. Okay. So, and things are changing. The other thing that wasn't around, and I know you got to go, and I'm going to go too because I got to go to New York. But the other thing that wasn't around was I didn't have a phone that had the ability to transmit money, instant money, real money, not bullshit money. Now I could still do the bullshit money too, but I also have 30,000 units of music on here that I don't pay for. Right. And like, wow, we basically took all the great music of the planet and combined it. Come on. We're most certainly going to do this with money and everything else you and I do.
Yeah. I mean, just think about news. Okay. Gary, you in the early 2000s, 2004, where did you get the majority of your information from?
Walter Cronkite.
In 2004?
Well, now
No,
I'm going back,
but-
dude. I can go back when Walter,
Yeah.
when news was like, they were showing up there to settle everyone down, right? They were trusted authorities. I think we have to get back to that point. Authenticity, people, like if I did this every day, 2 or 3 hours a day, I could build 1 million people. There's no doubt in my mind.
So I can tell you, because I've looked into this, in 2004, early 2000s, upwards of 75, 80% of the country was getting their news on a daily basis from television. Okay. Take a guess what that number is currently. What is it currently?
What was the number before?
Like 75%. It's like 74%.
I would say that number is in the high teens now.
Okay. My understanding is not quite that low. But you may be right. I mean, we're just guessing based on surveys.
Well, CNN just took a $10 billion write-off.
Did it? It took a
10 billion, man. 10 billion. Making Twitter look cheap.
Yeah, that's incredible.
10 billion, one quarter.
So today, okay, 20 years later, majority of Americans, 63%, I just got the exact stat, get their daily news through smartphones, computers, or tablets. Okay, so they're getting it all online. Okay, of that subset, okay, only half of it that are getting it online are getting it from mainstream news sources. So you're talking about a subset of a subset, right? Fairly small. From the television, it's down to 31%. So you've lost basically, you're in the teens, you're roughly there, right? But you lost a huge portion of the population who would tune in to the big cable networks or the big television networks every night and get their, news of day. Now there's a huge variety and diversity of where they're getting information from. What does that do to the public consciousness? I think it skews it because it forces you as the listener, as the viewer, to decide, who can I trust? You have to decide, right? And there are people that make terrible choices. We know this. We see this all the time, both on the left and the right, by the way. There are people that go to garbage news sources on the right and garbage news sources on the left, and they have no ability to distinguish the difference. I have family members who send me news articles from freedomeagle.facebook, okay? Random, made up websites that are written by ChatGPT these days and have all sorts of errors in it, and they think that's good, reliable news. That puts the onus on you as an individual to be able to figure out what is good. And I know you do it. I do it. You try to say, how do I know this information is reliable that I'm being set? But people aren't conditioned to that. They're conditioned to flip on the cable news or the TV and say, oh, it's CNN, I can trust them. That was the mindset for a whole generation of people growing up.
Yeah. I actually think that this is, you have parents, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it's worth watching the older generation as to when you go to their houses, watch what they do when they wake up. I think people are very automated human beings. I think human beings are like rats. I really do. In fact, we should have a conversation. We should just do the bell curve and just confront reality. Most people want to be in the rut and just do habitual. I'm extremely habitual human being, but I'm massively extreme also, which is weird, right? But I think most people like just don't like, they just like it. The challenge for you and I is, hey, how do we get them from clicking CNN and click this? Because we know
you
there's
have
a
to give them
need
something
there.
to click. You have to give them something to click. What are they going to click?
Exactly. Okay. But first you got to give them at least a presentation, a little bit of a snort. I'll take it back from the old cocaine traders. Those people know how to sell a product. Give the first pieces free. And that's the value of this. All we need is people to be introduced to these spaces.
Yeah.
All you have to do, hey, just show up and listen. And people will be like, wow, that's good quality. Didn't cost me anything.
But you know this, Gary. You have to do it the way you and Sam and others do. You have to have good, solid hosting. Hosting is a skill in itself. And I don't think half the people on Twitter understand this. They'll just open up a room and people shout over each other and be disrespectful. And you do a good job.
But that's changing. It
will. It'll get better.
It's like we're just in this evolution. I'm excited about it, Joe. You know what, Joe, if you don't mind, I'm going to just close with you. If you don't mind.
Yeah.
Because
let's do it.
I didn't realize it was this late. I'm going to ask everyone to follow you, follow all the guys that were here. Sorry if I didn't bring the guys back up. Henry, Red, you guys that helped me, thank you very much. And all the people that were watching. You guys follow Joe, follow Henry. Joe's an excellent Joe. Just tell people what you do. Because if you're in Bitcoin or you need a lawyer, Joe's probably a good contact.
I'm a commercial litigator. I'm based out of Chicago. We have a national practice, okay, and we host, get involved in a variety of different disputes: breach of fiduciary duty, breach of contract. I represent a lot of Bitcoin miners in this space, trying to keep them out of trouble, keep them out of litigation. And I have a general litigation practice, but it is really concentrated on digital assets. So about currently 75% of my cases are digital asset cases, and I'm really trying to make that 100%. So if you have a litigated dispute or a potential disagreement, business disagreement in the Bitcoin or digital asset space, feel free to reach out. If I don't know the answer or can't help you, I know who can, because I know all the major top lawyers in the space. So really just trying to be a good advocate for the space and make sure that we keep Bitcoin surging and growing in the United States. And you can Google my name to find my website, or I'm very active on Twitter. You can reach out there as well.
Yeah, Joe, you need to put, you have your name in there. It's Carla Sara, guys. I don't know why everybody has such a problem pronouncing it.
You got it.
Yeah. Listen, guys, thank you very much. What I would ask each and every one of you to do is it's 11:12 p.m. Sunday, September 15th. Look, you have 12 hours, okay? 12 hours between now and 12 hours to do something nice for somebody. Somebody's sitting on a street. They need something. It doesn't take that much energy. Okay. Help somebody out. Let's try and expand this space so that the community we have is more productive than harmful. And with that, I'm going to say good night. Thank you very much, Joe. You got something? I
was going to say, to your point, okay, in the interest of spreading, doing good things for people, right? Sometimes you can just reach out with a text, somebody you haven't heard from, okay, or a phone call. People are desperate for interaction one-on-one. Do that. It takes 5 minutes. Somebody that you know from social media or that's been going through a tough time, let them hear from you.
Yeah, I don't know anybody, including very successful people, that don't need love. So when you guys think somebody's above you, it's complete and utter bullshit. So I'm going to say good night to all of you and see you sometime this week. Joe, thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks.
I'm going to pick up some Bitcoin at 58 if I can still do that.
Go do it. Take care. Have a good night.
Thank you, buddy. Ciao.